Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How's everybody doing? Want to give a big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back, even though you missed the live party, guys. That is the best part. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And sometimes whenever I feel like it, I went live yesterday for like an hour. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and you will never miss another Indian Jesus live party ever again. Let's also say thank you to my6shirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. Let's party, everybody. What is good? So we're doing something a little different today, diving into some unknown territories, if you will. Not too many, not too different. Definitely in the wheelhouse. But you know, we talk very much about religion and politics, and even though a lot of our political discussion is around the culture, it's not really, or rather, we don't really take the opportunity to have more cultural discussions and bring them into how we talk about the political issues. And so that is what we are going to do today. Those of you who are my age, around 33 or right abouts there, will definitely be familiar with this guy from Simple Plan. He was on the Punk Rock MBA podcast, and they had a very interesting conversation about the pop punk revival coming back. And we're going to talk about what I think that means for politics. We got David Banner in the building. Welcome to the party. Only gospel. That's the only music God approves of. Well, I think you're going to be alone on that one. But welcome to the party. If you have not already, please hit the like button and let's party. As always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Pierre, thank you so much for making time for this. I'm very grateful and honored to have you on the show.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you. I'm a follower, a big fan, so it makes it's my pleasure to be here.
He seems nervous. Hey, we got Nick in the building. Welcome to the party, Nick. Good to see you. Oh, wrong one. Hold on. Extra horns for Nick.
So I guess the first thing I wanted to get your thoughts on is it feels like your era of pop punk has been having a moment for the past couple of years, but I think like revival. Even like right now, I feel like it's at absolute like peak. I don't know. It's not even nostalgia. It's like appreciation, I guess I would say, because it's not just nostalgia, because there's a lot of, younger people into it too.
That's a good point. Part of the revival isn't that just a bunch of millennials are now going out and seeing the same bands I saw when we were 15. It's that there's a whole new cohort of Gen Z kids who never experienced that, maybe weren't even alive when the emo pop punk thing was the scene. So it's not, the nostalgia is definitely there, but it's not just nostalgia. There's something there about the music that is speaking to a new generation.
How do you feel about that? And what do you think is behind all that?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, there's been a bit of a revival. I think it started, a few years ago, kind of like when artists like Machine Gun Kelly kind of brought back the style a little bit, and Travis Barker started producing all these records. And
shout out to Travis Barker. I would say number one is Travis Barker bringing all of this back, because he's been active in music and in pop music in general since he was since he got popular. It says you can thank TikTok for the revival of a lot of music. Oh, that's a good point. A lot of, while everybody's searching for their identity that and doesn't want to go down the gender identity route, then, there's got to be some other way to differentiate yourself. And, for my generation and generations before me, then music was one of the main ways that you would express yourself. That's always why I say that LGBT is the new emo.
I feel like it did. I mean, there's definitely, a difference. There was, for us, we started, our band came out in 2002, and that was like the peak. If we were almost at the tail end of it, because when we got signed, our record label was like, you might be too late on this wave of pop punk. Right. So anyways, and then it became popular for a while. Then there was a lull for sure. I mean, the scene has always been around. Vans Warped Tour has always been a success through all those years, but on the mainstream, it definitely kind of dipped down and other styles kind of took over. And now, yeah, it's interesting. There's the wave that sort of, like I said, began with Machine Gun Kelly and that sort of new era has kind of, stuck around. It's still there. And as you're saying, it's almost like at its peak.
And so what I want you guys to think about as we're going through this, especially if you're not a fan of this type of music, that how similar the parallels are going to be between how the culture of politics is going and how the culture of pop music is going.
I'm not really sure why. I think maybe, I think the appreciation of the emo scene and how easily that goes well hand in hand with memes, I almost feel like the meme culture has helped sort of.
Who here has not seen an emo kid starter pack meme or like a pop punk kid starter meme? There, it's perfect. Hey, we got Ziggs in the building. Yeah, we were just listening to some electronic music, some drum and bass, some hardstyle, some techno in the Discord server last night. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya.
Sort of, has helped keep that in the forefront of people's mind. And yeah, I can't really pinpoint exactly what it is, but I guess a lot of great songs. A lot of great songs have come out from the early 2000s. Bands like Blink-182 they're now. I mean, Tom just got back, and now they're back on tour, so that also helps the whole thing. There's so many little factors here and there. A lot of bands like mine, and.
So what he's saying is that the idea that Blink-182 came back together and started touring again allowed for the influence of the people who are into this music to now start seeing that, oh, that's happening again. Then for smaller bands, they're saying, oh, there's an opportunity here. Just like in politics, when we have thought leaders who are the first to kind of break the mold. Think of Trump or somebody who the America First politicians, where you can be in the Republican Party and not be a rhino, paving the way for other people.
And, Yellow Card came back. And
shout out to Yellow Card.
Bands that are touring more. I know we were on tour a lot with Sum 41 last year, and they've just announced that they're, disbanding. So that almost creates more excitement. So there's a lot of things, but I think at the base of it all is that there's songs that are meaningful to people, that have, impacted them in a deep way, that so deeply that they remain fans for a lifetime. Absolutely. That's what I find is the most interesting thing about our scene, and even like our band particularly.
Yeah, I've said for a long time that music is one thing, but live music is a whole other level. Because when you go to see music live, whatever the genre, whenever you go to see music live, now you're pairing what you're hearing with what's actually happening around you, and it becomes the soundtrack of your greatest memories. So you already love the music, then you go to this show, and now it's paired with the memory of not only listening to the song, but being in with the crowd and everything. And then when you go back home, now instead of just listening to it because you like the song, now it's triggering all these memories, and it makes you fall in love over and over and over and over and over again. Yep, Sum 41, that was their big one. And that was actually one of the more poppy songs. They went pretty hard for the pop punk. They were definitely the hardest ones to go at it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that we've been able to write songs and connect with a fan base so deeply that they're the kind of people that they're like, yeah, I love this band when I was 13, 14, 15, 18, whatever it was. But the songs meant so much to me at that time that if I hear them when I'm 50, exactly, I'm still going to feel like, oh, yes, So I think that's a big factor. But all those.
And so even if you're not going to the song that you're listening to, you necessarily didn't see it live, but it's similar to the sound of the songs that you did. And it spreads. It has that effect. That ripple
things
effect.
Together. Yeah, but it's cool. And then there was also the TikTok, I'm just a kid phenomenon. So all those things kind of like created a perfect storm where today, you see the early 2000s pop punk be more present than it was like 10 years ago.
Yep. Hey, we got Lars and Rune in the building. Welcome to the party. Metalhead in the house. And yeah, David Manner, you were spot on bringing this bringing up TikTok. And so if you're not familiar, he is from Simple Plan. That's on "I'm Just a Kid and Life Is a Nightmare." That's them. So that is a perfect little clip to go with the TikToks that everybody think is the only thing that it is, kids dancing and stuff. Perfect for that.
Well, you mentioned MGK, which I think is interesting because a lot of people really don't want to give him credit. But I mean, there's no question about it. Whether you like him or his music or not is a whole other question. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, "Tickets to My Downfall" was a Billboard #1 album. You can't deny that. He really did bring the genre back to the forefront in a way that nobody else had in a long time.
And I mean, I remember when I was in school and into this, and this was my scene and everything. It was like the worst thing that you could be called was a poser. Oh, you're just a poser. Just meaning that you're not really into these bands. You're just trying to make it look like you're cool. And the idea that there's so much that I could have missed out on, and that I could have shared with other people. It's just crazy world. And now, again, drawing the parallels that like, oh, you're not a real conservative. You're not a real liberal. You're not enough. It's never enough. Everybody thinks they're the perfect version of whatever. In this case, everybody thinks they're the perfect emo kid. Everybody thinks they're the perfect political position. And we need to broaden our minds a little bit.
And really quick, before we go any further, have you checked out? Then I will review it. Link in the description of this video. And I appreciate.
Actually, you know what? Real quick, I know what's happening. Yeah. Okay, let's get rid of that. Reload that.
Music, there's a way to do that as well. All you got to do is join at the $10 and up level. Then every month I do a call for submissions. If you want me to review something, all you got to do is drop it in the comments of that post. Then I will review it live on Twitter.
Speaking of all of this kind of stuff, channel memberships are now open. There's going to be members only content. There's going to be a bunch of stuff. We're just starting, so haven't done much with it yet. But absolutely, if you are interested, memberships are available.
I agree. I give him credit for that. I think that I think he's got some great songs. There's just like any artist, there are some songs of his that I don't appreciate as much, but like I'm sure people say the same thing about my music.
Sure.
But yeah, there's some great stuff, and he did definitely. He kind of brought back pop punk with a flavor that wasn't really as prominent before. Like he was more into hip hop, and like his singing is more kind of like low talking, and but it really. That sparked all of his stuff with Travis Barker, and then all the other stuff came around. So yeah, I definitely give him credit for reigniting something that we can all appreciate now.
The other thing he did, which I want to ask you about I have lots of questions about this, but the other thing he did that I think a lot of people maybe don't appreciate is he put it back in the mainstream of pop culture. Because remember, people think of your era of pop punk as being this sort of like, I don't want to say underground thing, but
so remember, they're still talking about MGK and how this pop punk sound is now part of pop music. Whereas, and it always was, but we had this idea that like, oh, we're the edgy underground. And, I mean, I was, because I didn't just listen to Simple Plan and stuff, but, the Simple Plan, the My Chemical Romance, Census Fail, those kinds of bands, they were on MTV. It wasn't some underground thing. But that's what they're talking about.
Of pop punk as being this sort of like, I don't want to say underground thing, but a big part of it is like, you had a show on MTV, exactly. Travis had shows on MTV. Like this was not underground stuff. It was as mainstream as it gets. And I think that's really important. It's a good thing. MGK, is in TMZ and stuff and put it back in the mainstream spotlight. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you don't, and I'm not trying to be boastful or anything, but you don't sell 2.5 or whatever, almost 3 million copies of an album by remaining
underground. You know,
He's like, I'm rich, bitch.
so
It's
definitely.
impossible.
No, when we were, you know, when we came out, even before that, like Blink-182 was zero underground. That was like everybody knew who that was, and
Right.
so,
And
you know, when
actually, as there, you know, so I learned of Blink-182 from my brother. My older brother was a huge fan of Green Day and Blink-182 back in the day, before the All the Small Things album. And you know, there was the poser thing I was just talking about, but Sellout was another thing that was just like enormous. That my brother completely stopped listening to his favorite band because they got a record deal and sold out. And oh, now they're making pop music. It's like, bro, it already was pop music. Oh my goodness, Mark Peterson coming in hot with the 1999. Let's read this. Thank you so much. Welcome to the party. Said, no person in my simple mind can be left or right. Life situations can change for the better or worse. And then opinions, which is all they are, can change. I graduated in 82. AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Kiss, Scorpions. There you go. And of course, every single super chat comes with a treat for Morty. Say thank you to Mark. Thank you so much, Mark. Very, very, very much appreciated. And of course, you know that makes you the sponsor of the stream. Let me get that link, banner for you.
Sum 41 came out, and then us, and then Wilco Charlotte also. Those three bands to me were like, we rode on Green Day and Blink-182's coattails, but absolutely it was not underground whatsoever. It was MTV, TRL, it was Billboard charting stuff, and it was I mean, I think it's a good thing. And listen,
thank you again, Mark.
I understand the feeling of having of wanting to keep something secret to yourself. I understand that. Listen, I was a teenager at some point, and
that's the whole thing, is that the reason we gatekeep this stuff so much is because you want to be the cool guy that has the stuff that listens to the band that nobody else knows. You want to have the political positions that nobody else has ever thought of. And you know, it creates, you know, in your young mind, that makes sense. But certainly with politics, and definitely with the music, if you want this band to succeed, then they're going to have to sell out. Otherwise, they're just going to be broke and playing in their basement and you know, random tiny venues. And it'll be awesome for you because there'll only be 12 other people there. But if you really, really like the band and appreciate what they do, then you should want them to succeed.
I remember in my first band, which was with Chuck, you know, my drummer in Simple Plan, I remember writing a song because I was a big fan of Green Day, and then Green Day blew up, and it kind of
they
upset me.
sold out.
I don't want the girls in my class in high school to sing Green Day. This is my band, you know. But you know, with a little more age and maturity, I understand that's part of the journey, and I think it is a good thing that it becomes mainstream, because you want to see those acts be successful. Because what does success do to an act? Well, success allows you to focus on it more and to dedicate your life.
Similarly to, you know, whether we're talking about politicians or even YouTubers, that, you know, the 1999 here from Mark is huge. It's huge for me. And I mean, you know, I know you guys don't like when I get mushy, but supporting the people who are creating the art that you love is only going to get you better art. Instead of having crappier art all to yourself, then it goes out to everybody. And it gets better because it goes out to everybody.
To something, and not having to have another job. You know, like when I was in my first punk band, a band called Reset, I didn't make enough money to barely pay for instruments. So would that have continued? Probably not. At some point, reality would have stepped in and been like, hey, you can't afford to do this. So I do agree that it's a good thing that MGK brought this back in the mainstream. And you know, there are some pros and cons about that, but I think it's definitely, as you mentioned, it wasn't an underground thing. It was definitely you know, as much as people might want to think that like it was this little subculture. It wasn't a subculture. It was even though it was a subculture, it was huge, you know.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned TRL, which I am absolutely obsessed with that show, and I just made a video about it. I'm dedicated to like spreading the gospel of TRL because I think it was amazing. You were on there quite a bit.
Yep.
I want to know
Hey, we got indie film in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see you. We are talking with the singer of Simple Plan and the Punk Rock MBA, and talking about how pop punk and politics are very closely connected. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, come on, baby. Don't do this to me.
everything about being on TRL. What was that like?
It's funny for me because all those early years of the band, and I've been in a band for probably 6 years before.
Hey, we got Dan Jensen in the building. What is good? What is good? He said Allahu Akbar or something. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very glad to see you, brother. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mark says somehow music lyrics were always better when the writer was depressed. Yeah, that I mean, pain breeds art. Pain breeds art, don't it? Come on, what is going on? Oh no.
Before that, but we got relatively quick success with Simple Plan, and all those experiences. I wish I could go back and relive them again because it went by so fast, and it was so like. They're going here. We were in Times Square. We go to New York all the time because our label was there.
I feel the same way about, just going to see these bands play. I can't imagine what it must have been like to travel the world and actually play in front of huge crowds like that. That was my dream as a kid. I started playing guitar when I was in kindergarten, and I was in bands all through school. And I always had a dream that I would be on stage and a song that I wrote, I'd be playing a song and the crowd would be singing it louder than the actual band. That's always been a dream of mine. I don't think it's I think we could still do something along that, but my dreams of becoming a rock star are pretty much gone.
And we'd be going to TRL every couple of months. And I have to say, it was an awesome time. Everyone there was super cool. It wasn't this big production thing. You'd walk up to MTV, check all your security stuff, go in there, have your little green room, have your food. Like, okay, you'll be on like 15 minutes and go to makeup. And it was like it was a cool little thing. We even played MTV's. I think it was 2003.
Oh, I thought he was going to say when he was 23, and he probably was about that age. But thinking about doing that, and the thing about something like TRL, which was the daily countdown music video show on MTV, it created something that we're missing just in general, where everybody was watching the same thing, so we could all talk about it. Now everything is so fractured, and shows are on this site, and every band in the world is on Spotify. So there's no like one thing that everybody's into, and I kind of miss that.
2002 to 3 or 3 to 4, the New Year's Eve bash where we played in the studios as the ball dropped. So we were there all the time. But it was super fun. All the DJs were super nice. We had a great time, and I have to say, I have to give credit because I believe. Well, I don't believe it. This is a fact. Simple Plan has a lot. One of the big reasons why we became successful was because MTV backed us before radio. Like it was a time when MTV had the power to break a band, and with us, they really did. We had the support of it. We had a great guy at Lava Records named Doug Cohn, who he was the guy that took care of all the VH1 MTV stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Mark says, pain breeds hard. I've never heard that one before. That's the name of your next song. I'm dedicated to you, brother.
And he pushed us at MTV, and the MTV execs were like, we like this band. We're going to play them. And they played us before we had any success. And that kind of fueled everything else. So yeah, TRL was something that I look back with a lot of gratitude and a lot of cool experiences. We met Tom Hanks on TRL.
Yikes. Maybe keep that one secret now that we know all about Hanky there. But again, now that makes me think of shows like Timcast, where the opportunity to go and get your message or whatever it is in front of people by a bigger type of entity. We see all of that kind of stuff going on, and so we're not there yet. I'm plotting some pieces, and we're gonna connect the dots by the end. So just making some parallels for now.
Saw a lot of cool celebrities, so it was really fun.
And I think Carson,
quiet down. My dogs are being Yeah. Shh. Stop
Dad's
it.
busy.
Good job, Morty. Good boy. See, he's better than them.
Yeah.
Carson was actually like a fan of punk, right?
Yeah, he was super cool. Carson Daly was awesome. We met him a bunch of times. Who's the other guy? I'm drawing a blank right now. Damien, who now writes for Family Guy. Damien was I don't forget what his last name was, but Damien was an awesome host too, and we became friends and went out and had drinks in New York, and so there was a lot of cool people there. But yeah, they all were super supportive, and it was a real tight knit family there that were, in my experience, all really nice people.
Yeah, and Lars, you're definitely right. A lot of musicians do break up, have families, and then come back. But it's an even cooler thing that, you know, the bands that specifically I grew up with, they never really took that break. They were always, you know, doing their thing. And maybe I wasn't following because, you know, I was into electronic music, which apparently most of you guys hate. And, you know, and then I was into drugs, which that's a whole thing. And then by the time I was becoming a normal person again, then I was more into podcasts and politics and stuff like that. But these guys have been going. There was no breaks. They had families, but they've been going and going and going. So I mean, I just think that's awesome. Now it's to see them finally get you know, in the spotlight again. That's what's really cool.
I just thought it was amazing to see.
Kind of like when Joe Biden was a respected senator. And then,
You know, I mean, I remember Newfound Glory when, you know, Chad was in the hardcore scene and stuff like that. And then to see all your bands, you know, on TRL and Times Square with crowds of screaming teenagers in front of it. Like, I thought that was fucking cool because I felt like it was like my people winning.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome, you know, and like,
so that was one of the two ways to see your band, your band, not your band that you're in, the band that you claim as your own, even though you don't even know who you are. You either will get mad at them for selling out by just being successful, given you liked the band anyway, or like you just said, you'd be like, all right, my team's winning. Why we struggle streaming?
Crowds of screaming teenagers in front of it. Like, I thought that was fucking cool because I felt like it was like my people winning.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome, you know, and like I said, there's the punk rock elite that will, you know, frown on those kind of things, but I think it was great. It was a great time, and I think it gave birth to a lot of awesome bands, and I think that like you said, people may want to think that it was all underground stuff, but it was definitely in the mainstream, you know, and that's why, you know, that type of success is what fueled successful tours like the Pop Disaster Tour, which was Green Day, Blink-182, which we had the honor to open for, but we didn't, at the time we were so new that we didn't get to play on the stage. We played in the parking lot because it was it was amphitheaters, and they were all sold out, like probably 15 to 20,000 people, if not more, every night. And we went on that tour for like 3-4 weeks. And
wow, I thought he was talking about some smaller thing. I guess he's talking about the parking lot where inside there was the stadium of however many thousands of people. But I've definitely had my days playing in parking lots and for, you know, 12 people in the crowd, and didn't have the right didn't have the right equipment, and going down memory lane. Nick says, that was funny, man. Of course, I laughed just hearing the name Joe Biden. Don't we all? We're almost done, guys. We're almost done with Joe Biden. We're almost done.
And we got to play, like, they would find a place for us at the amphitheater, whether it's the parking lot or like the concession stands, and they would stick a stage up, and we played there. And that was also another reason why we made it. But those experiences to me are all.
So right there, that speaks to, you know, looking at it now as an older person, and not as, oh, I just want to keep this band all to myself. The notion that there was so much work put into the final product that I saw, I just didn't understand. And now you see the whether you want to look at the career of politicians, and, you know, for better or worse, there is absolutely, there is absolutely work involved in moving forward, whether that's moral, immoral, amoral, whatever, is neither here nor there. But it takes a lot to become somebody who's going to be considered for president, considered for mayor, considered for governor, whatever. And it's very easy for us to poke holes in, oh, this person's bad because this person's terrible because that. But there's a lot of work that goes behind becoming that person. And politicians, well, they're politicians, so they should get a lot of our ire. But when it comes to musicians, actors, YouTubers, it's like, there's a lot that goes into what you see, and it's so easy to just take it for granted. And I don't know. Definitely, if you could go and make sure any other YouTuber that you're watching, just hit that like button. It's free. It's easy. Subscribe to channels. It's not going to hurt you. All that kind of stuff. And it from the perspective of the person creating the content, whatever that content is, it means so much to us.
We're all possible because of the success of these bands and that music and that style.
Yeah, they couldn't put you on unless they were playing these like giant shows and had the ability to take a chance on a smaller band.
Exactly. Yeah. Boys, quit it. Jeez. Stop it.
He looks guilty.
Yeah.
Another thing that seems like it was a big part of your success is you guys were involved in a whole lot of these, I guess I would say, like teen movies in the beginning. Like there was Freaky Friday and The New Guy, and it seems like that gave
The
you
New Guy. Oh my God, I love that movie.
Really big boost. Was that like a deliberate strategy on the part of you and your team, or did it just happen, or where did that come from?
Yeah, we were digging hard for those. I mean, we had another great component of Lava Records was Kevin Weaver, who's still in the
Weaver. I barely even know her. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
In the movie business and the movie music business, and he was a hustler. And for Lava, he was placing all these acts everywhere. And at the time, I really do believe that movie placements were, especially certain movie placements, were really incredible for people's career. Like to be on American Pie, like we were on American Pie, and it was like to be on American Pie was like the golden ticket. We didn't make it on that one. I think we might have been on the second one, but I'm not sure.
So I assume most of you are going to know what he is referring to, but if you I just want to ask you guys. So when he says, American Pie, the movie, do we know what he's referring to, or should I go into it? I don't want to explain it. It's pretty simple if you know it, but do you know what he's referring to?
But all those placements, I mean, back in those days, music in movies was like, soundtracks were huge. People would buy soundtracks, and that's how they would discover bands,
And we don't even see that anymore. I mean, you think of Gardens of the Galaxy, and damn, the Gardens of the Galaxy use music very well, but we know that, and everybody talks about that because of how rare it is. And the soundtrack used to be such a huge part of the movie. And you do have a lot of, especially like action and the big blockbuster movies will have, its own score, but that's kind of in another category.
And also, I feel that style of music in those movies, it was like more of a when the song came onto the movie, it was more impactful. Where now, I think that the style of music that people use for ads and for movies is a little bit more like kind of background music. Yeah. And I say that with all due respect, because I do listen to stuff that I would consider to be more background music, but I'm a huge fan of bands like Crying Bin. I don't even know how you say that name, but back in the day, yeah, like those soundtracks. The New Guy for us was huge. They paid for the video. And all those placements. I think we had back in those days, we had 180 different musical placements and movies and TV shows. Wow. We were the theme song for I'm forgetting now. It was some MTV show about high school life or college life.
I'm trying if I can get this. I think it wasn't it Made? No, that's too early. I think I know what he's let's see if
I forget what it was. Anyways, but all those placements were huge, so that was
it made so much sense because the stuff you guys were writing, to your point earlier, the stuff you guys were writing about was the same stuff they were making the movies about. And so when that song came on, it was like it was about the situation in the movie or the TV show, and so it really just set that emotional tone.
Yeah, exactly, Ziggs. These movies, the way that they put a lot of care into what what the movie sounded like, because it was a big part, and not everybody could afford to hire Hans Zimmer to create their own score. Oh, Lars and Rune with the 99-cent super sticker. No question, no comment, just pure love of the dog. There you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness. And then following it right up, Dan Jensen. Look how excited we're getting him. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, guys. Oh man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very, 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 very much. You guys are awesome. Let me see what I missed here real quick. Yeah, that's how I think a lot of people learned about Queen. And just in general. And yeah, Mark, that's another great point that I haven't seen the new one yet because I didn't see the old one. This was one of these movies that I lost by not having American parents. So I never saw the first Top Gun, so I'm gonna make it a double feature. But I hear a lot of people talk about that as well, that the way that they use music is very very different than the cut and paste that what's popular, let's just put it in here. It's not about that. It's about creating the feeling that is that you want elicited from the scene. Nick says, I was just wondering if it makes a difference when I read your compliment to Melted My Media. So I liked all the comments. I hope it does help. I don't know, but I hope so. Thank you very much, brother. Much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was a big thing, and it was a different time, and movies and music in TV had a different role back then.
Right.
Like
right.
Blink had a lot of big placements, and just all those bands. And I think, like I said, like if you were able to be, hold on a second, someone's calling me. I have to.
Well, at least that's not me. At least it's not me this time. But I forgot what I was gonna say. What was? Oh, come on. I'm hating this out.
And music in
MTV having a bigger role, that was the place to get music. And so before the internet, specifically before the internet, this is why there was this conception of underground. Even though it was being played on MTV, you thought it was underground because not a lot of people were necessarily wanted to listen to it. Even though you thought it was good. And some other people might have as well, but they were more into rap or, just regular pop music. And we thought it was so cool. And I still think it's cool. It's just not edgy and underground.
It's calling me. I have to end this. This is, why do they do this?
Boomer.
No. Send a voicemail. Do you still see me all right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Spanish to voicemail.
Another one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so they were just a big part of discovering bands, you know what I mean? And still to this day, I was like, when they did American Pie, I was like, why didn't they put us in?
I would have been a perfect choice.
Yeah. And then you got those different connections. Like we did a lot of late night TV shows were a big thing back then too. If you were on Conan, we did Conan a bunch of times. We did Kimmel, which we awesome people there.
Again, another institution. I don't know if you want to necessarily call late night TV an institution, but for the purpose of the conversation, another institution that has, it's still on. Not right now because of the writer's strike, but those late night shows still happen. They still bring comics and musical acts and stuff like that on the show to showcase them, but it doesn't have nearly the same effect because not that many people are watching. When it was the only thing on, when there was only 500 channels, and you were really only watching like 7 to 10 of them, then it was very likely that you would either watch it or miss it, and everybody else would have watched it. And you'd be like, "Oh, I missed something," and it was because we didn't have YouTube, or at least not in the way that we do now. You either saw it or you missed it.
But we never got David Letterman because apparently. There was someone that booked the Letterman thing that did not like Simple Plan. I don't know what we ever did, but that was one we never nailed. But
maybe there's still time.
Yeah,
who knows?
For Letterman?
that's kind of my theory about what's driving a lot of this revival. Is I think there was they call it like a monoculture back then. You know, there was this. It was an era of media where everyone knew about the same stuff. Like if there was a big
This is exactly what I was just saying. Exactly what I was just saying.
Movie out, even if you didn't care about the movie, you knew about it. Or like, for example, you remember the Jennifer Aniston's haircut on Friends, the Rachel, right?
Put a 1 in the chat if you do not know what the haircut is.
Yeah.
Everyone knew about that. Whether you watched Friends or not, everyone knew about Jennifer Aniston's haircut.
Actually, I think we're all older here.
Yeah. Now, because everyone has their own feed on social media and stuff like that, like we're not watching the same culture.
Boom. Not watching the same culture. And we can see how that's having an effect. Hey, we got Alex Pincus in the building. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya. Good to see ya.
So I don't think it's possible to build stars like we did back then.
Well, you know, the reality is that I think that back in those days, the most of our culture, most of our pop culture was controlled by these big corporations,
right?
And they got to pick what was going to be popular or what they're going to focus on. Where now, like you're saying, there's a lot of different channels. There's different ways for you to promote yourself, which is great from an artist's point of view because you have more opportunity. But you know, it's the result is that there's a lot more noise out there, a lot more stuff going on.
And what happens is that you can still, you know, make a career of being an artist, whether you call YouTube being an artist or not, an artist or a content creator. You can do that because there's enough people. There's enough people that you don't have to steal the show. But what happens is that you just create your own audience. And now everybody is, a little bit more insulated because now everybody is at the same, you know, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Then, you know, you guys are here with me. And the more that we grow, that's just more stuff at 8 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays that you guys aren't going to see. But it's okay because those people will be able to build their own audiences. And I think, again, that is something that is allowing this this pop punk revival to happen. And all the things that are allowing the revival to happen are directly tied to how society is changing, how culture is changing. And it's all downstream from politics. Nick says, I'm 43, pushing 44. I found after 40, I started to just be able to enjoy music for what it is. I started listening to rap and country music. I wouldn't have 10 years before. A little bit of maturity will do that, right? Mark says, the corporate brainwashing, Beanie Babies, Cabbage Patch Kids, etc. Yep. And you are so special for having a Beanie Baby that you got at Walmart. Like, it's not special. Now, there were some special Beanie Babies, but you know what I mean.
Whereas back then it was like, like if you were able to get your foot through the door, then you had a chance of being really, really big. Let me put my dogs outside. Sure. They're annoying the crap out of me.
Come on, unprofessional. 1985. Yeah. When music's still on MTV because they stopped playing music and more shows. That was big. Yeah, man. I'm telling you. I never really liked Bowling for Soup. That was a good dividing line between what was too much pop and too little punk. You know, Simple Plan was right on that line. They were straight up pop music, but it was catchy, so I was like, all right. But Bowling for Soup was too much. It was just pop music with rock instruments to me. And I mean, I don't necessarily hate on pop music, but it's just not really my thing. I mean, a good song is a good song, but I'm not going to go and seek out new pop music to listen to. But at that time, I was, like we were talking about, it was very, very, very important that I had the right image. And you can see it now. It's not happening with music anymore. It's happening with gender.
Boys are insane. Cross that. Go.
Actually, let's just keep it just to show how good Morty is in comparison to them.
Sorry about that.
Look at that.
Oh, no problem.
I figured I would bring them inside so they wouldn't scratch up my door and then they just annoy the crap out of me.
Being a dog dad, it's tough business. So
you
I
got
was
dogs,
thinking,
right?
we have cat.
I have cat. Nice. I've
Yeah.
got a cat too. I've got a cat, 3 dogs, and 11 chickens.
What?
Wow. Okay.
All right,
Tim
Pool.
Yeah, it's a zoo over here.
Does it ever strike you as a little odd when people have that many animals in their home? Is that just me?
You know, to your point earlier about sort of this like fragmentation, you know, there's artists now that I look up on Spotify that have billions of streams and I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
What?
And
yeah, it's
just weird. You know, we're watching different movies now.
It's true. And I question whether that is because there's many different channels and which we're not obviously following them all, or is it because we're just getting older? You know, like
I think
it's
both.
both, like, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, you know.
Jinx, Finn. That's Finn McKitty of the interview over here. Jinx.
So it's but yeah, there's definitely a lot of artists out there that, I mean, I just watch like if you watch the Grammys, I'm like, who's that?
Right.
And obviously they're doing really well.
And that's a perfect example. The Grammys used to be a huge cultural event. It used to be that everybody watched the Grammys. Everybody watched the Oscars. Even if you didn't really care, a lot of the people who weren't into music would just watch it for the outfits and who are you wearing and all that kind of stuff. And we just don't. What do we have? Sports is the last bastion of, you know, live entertainment that everybody is into. And that's why sports are so important. I used to think sports were so stupid. I used to say things like, if everybody paid as much attention to politics as they did to sports, then we'd live in a perfect world.
Shut up!
That's what I deserved. Dan says, when I was much younger, we used to beat the crap out of punkers and emos. Not my most proud moments. And I was one of those getting beat up. Actually, not that bad because there was a big scene in my high school. So, and I happened to be an extremely short dude. So beating me up wasn't very much of an accomplishment. But yeah, oh man, there was a lot of that. And not only that, but, you know, on the other side, we used to fight each other. We would literally have gangs. So let's say we're talking about a modest local venue that's maybe 500 people max, and there's never 500 people there. What would happen is a local band is playing, and then opening for them, or, you know, or headlining or whatever, is a band from like North Jersey or South Jersey, and so their fans would be coming to our venue. And like I wasn't in the groups or anything, but they were dance crews. We had Dance Depot, and we had the Breakdown crew, and they were, you know, it was a gang. They would go to these venues and just go and look to start fights with people who weren't of our town and stuff. It was crazy. It was crazy. So we all have some moments from back then when we were doing stuff that we would not do today.
We are older, but
Yeah.
you know, you're a professional musician. It's not like you're disconnected from what's happening in music.
True. To a certain
know?
extent, I kind of stay in my bubble sometimes, and I don't, you know, try to purposely educate myself to what's hot right now. I just kind of like stick to my own.
Yeah, right. You know all the new Taylor Swift songs.
One of the things I really liked about Simple Plan is that I think of you guys as being kind of the most, I would say, G-rated of the big pop punk bands.
I would disagree, but only because Bowling for Soup exists.
Which I really liked, just because to me it's really refreshing to hear something that's not super dark and cynical and edgy. Do you agree with that? And if so, was that like a deliberate decision on your part?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean,
so again, now to draw another parallel, this idea of being more accessible. Look at the political landscape. We had Trump come in and do a lot of things that a lot of people liked, but at the time I was like, I cannot I was going to say something super gay. I cannot stand behind this guy. I cannot support Trump because of the way that he is acting and behaving. And I wasn't even able to get to what is he saying? What does he stand for? Because it was just that version. And so now that we see, like with Ron DeSantis just had this terrible, boring speech, that I have a feeling that he was trying to distance himself as much as possible from the idea of Trump being the unpresidential kind of guy and come in and get this very buttoned up thing, and it fell flat. But that's what I'm thinking was behind it. Lars and Rune says it's only odd to me. Oh, is that supposed to be Indian Jesus? That's supposed to be me. When there's lots of pets in a house but no kids. Children need pets. I mean, I it's definitely weirder when there's no kids. But even if you have kids, 2 dogs and a cat, maybe. If you have more than that, if you have more than 3 pets, that's a lot. No? I don't know. Maybe I'm not hating, do whatever you want. I'm just like, it's just a little weird. Having, Morty and my own bearded dragon, that's only 2. I know that, different animals will, and obviously being a dog trainer, I know that different animals have different levels of just like upkeep. And a lot of people are not able, like Morty doesn't shed and there's little hairs everywhere. Dogs that actually do shed, I can't imagine how much time you must spend trying to keep your house clean. And, more often people just don't. And so the more dogs you have, the more cats you have, the more animals you have just crawling all over your house. It's just, I don't know, just dirty. Nick says, was there a style associated with the music you listen to? For instance, like there was with grunge. Oh yeah, bro. Oh yeah. So this is gonna be a little bit drastic but let's see if we can. Let's do this. Let's see if we. So I was gonna put emo kid in, but let's do hardcore straight edge camo. So before we even do this, so I'm putting hardcore straight edge camo into Google. I guarantee you, this will pull up a meme that has a military hat, a black band t-shirt, camo shorts, and Pumas. We will find this with this search. Let's see. All right. Okay. So we got the straight edge here. All right. Come on. We got some camo there. Getting closer. Lots of camo. Lots of camo. Come on, baby. Where are you? See, this was more like the. Here, let's do this. This was more like the like straight up hardcore and not really like the hardcore emo mix. No, is that all we're gonna get? All right, let's just do bands. We'll definitely get a good look here. There we go. Camo with the band t-shirt, tattoos, X, the gauges, the lip rings, everything with an X on it. X, 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 all that kind of stuff. Oh, there's the military hat. Military hat. No military hat here, huh? But that was it. Camo shorts, black band t-shirt, Pumas, and a military hat with pins on it. Yeah, that was the aesthetic. That was the aesthetic of the hardcore kids. We're not just hardcore. It's not hardcore punk. We listen to actual hardcore. Zig says, I'm 36. I love music. It says a lot about a person, in my opinion. I'm on the 70s era now. Italian composers or Japanese jazz, bossa nova. I prefer the music over the lyrics. But if a picture says 1,000 words, then music has 1,000 colors. Oh, that's a bar, my friend. If a picture says 1,000 words, then music has 1,000 colors. I love that. And I'm definitely, as somebody who's been playing music since I was, 5 years old, when I listen to music, especially because I was into, the screamo type of music, especially because I was into that, then, vocals were very much an additional instrument to the song. And what I was listening for was, what are the guitars doing? What are the drums doing? How's the other guitar playing with the lead guitar? What is the bassist just playing the lead chords that the rhythm is playing, or is there something else there? That's what I listen to when I listen to music. And I didn't realize until like a few years ago that most people don't listen to music that way. That most people predominantly listen to the lyrics over anything else. And here I am at 15 years old, like, yes, I know they're screaming, but just like listen to the music. There was no way. There was no way. There was no way.
I'm not afraid to admit it. We're definitely on the pop punk list of bands. We're definitely on the poppier side.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what to attribute that to. I remember, when I was younger, I was in a band that was like a metal punk band because my guitar player
was we all
a guy that lived down the street from Chuck's house, and we went to the same high school, and he was a death metal fan. He was like,
are you talking about Reset or something else?
Yeah, Reset.
Yeah, very metal.
Yeah, very metal. Because my guitar player literally was only able, that's rude. He was most comfortable playing
right.
Because he
chugga chugga. If you say that to a hardcore kid, a reformed hardcore kid, chugga chugga, ooh, that will bring back great memories, because that was the sound of the breakdown, which would be the heavy part that was specifically for moshing, and it would just be like a rhythmic, just dun 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 dun, dun, that kind of thing. Oh, chugga chugga. And then there's a whole genre, a whole subgenre that was focused around that. When it's like, all right, let's not even worry too much about melody and song structure. Let's just do a bunch of chugga chuggas, and it's called djent. D-J-E-N-T. Djent, 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 jigga jigga. I love it.
He listened to DSI, he listened to Megadeth or whatever, I don't even know what to listen to, but he was really into metal. So all of our songs sounded really, really, really metal. But when we kind of disbanded and formed Simple Plan,
I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare.
I was a huge fan of Green Day, Blink-182, and their success. And I was like, this is so awesome. I want to do stuff like that. And I really loved strumming and being more poppy. But it's funny because...
So that's another thing too. He's saying strumming and being more poppy. So if I'm going to, as if I'm holding my guitar up here, that chugga chugga sound, you do something that's called a palm mute. So you take the side of your hand like that and kind of rest it on the very bottom of the strings, so that like, what do I have here? So we have something like this. So if I just flick this, there's a lot of vibration there. But if I put my finger down here and strum it again, then there's a lot. Dun, dun, and sort of then you can get those nice sharp sounds like dun, 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 dun. And so he's saying, I like to strum more like, and I mean, think about, your typical metal versus like a Simple Plan or Blink-182. That is what he's talking about.
Green Day, Blink-182, and their success. And I was like, this is so awesome. I want to do stuff like that. And I really loved strumming and being more poppy. But it's funny because, we are very, very pop. And sometimes I wish that my writing wasn't so pop, but over the years, I've come to realize that when something comes out of me, whether it's on the piano or the guitar, I write melodies, they're just really melodic and very poppy. And, you combine that with not swearing, which we usually don't do. It just sounds more pop. And it's
so before he goes, I just wanted to say how much I can relate to that, because I always wanted to be more hardcore than I was. And I would write something and it would be either very melodic and poppy, or it would be so chugga chugga that there was not really a song there.
Almost like sometimes it bugs me because I'm like, man, I listen to other things and I'm like, oh, like I love Thrice. I think the Thrice is amazing.
Shout out to Thrice. Oh man,
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I don't love all of their stuff, and like same as anybody, any other artist, but like for me, Artist in the Ambulance was one of the best records of all time.
I so badly wish I could play that song for you. That used to be a daily play. Artist in the Ambulance. You guys know that song? Oh my God. Such an amazing song.
I still listen to it to this day. And
red light can't stop, don't spin the wheel.
I think if I tried to write that, it wouldn't come out like that. Like I'm just more melodic in a poppier way. And it's just, it's just who I am. And was it intentional?
So before they go on to that, you know, again, drawing more parallels is going to be the notion that in politics, then there's going to be people who are like Trump who can be Trump, and you're not going to be able to mimic that. Hey, Dan Jensen with another 17 of the what is it, Danish crane? Thank you so much. Oh no, you gotta leave. All right, before we do, let's get a treat for Morty. Shout out to Dan the man. Thank you so much, Dan. You go and train those newbies, and you have a great time. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it.
I think to a certain degree, when Chuck and I shifted from reset to
yeah. So I was saying about how, you know, Trump has this very unique thing, and in music, that is what gets you to the next level. Is not necessarily that you have a sound that has never been heard before. It's that you're using the same sound that people already like, but you're using it in a way that people have never seen before. And how is that not, you know, Trump's presidency to a T? And now you see Ron DeSantis trying to come in and be, you know, try to figure out how to work that. And it seems like even though he has been in politics, he's, you know, gone back and forth with the media, that it's just a different game when you're at the national level.
Simple plan. There was an absolute intentional, let's go to something more poppy because we like that. Because, you know, I like, you know, what Blink-182 is doing, and then the na all the small, like that was that I was like, this is awesome. So but in trying,
even though that's their worst song, I mean, later, I don't know all their songs after that, but Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was the best album, in my opinion.
Trying to emulate them, Simple Plan, you know, was born. So
and that's, again, how a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of YouTube personalities, how they get started. You start and you just turn on the camera and you try to mimic whoever you're listening to. And as time goes on, you become more comfortable with your own voice, and you kind of find like, okay, that feels fake. And like, you know, I took that from this person, but it feels natural. So, and you get your own style.
It's interesting how it's like, was it intentional to a certain degree, but not like trying to be like, let's be squeaky clean. Like, it's just like, sometimes I feel like I'm too clean even for myself. Like I listen to my music from back in the day, and I'm like, oh man, I wish we had done it this way, or I wish it was more. And also, I have to say, with some hindsight, our first producer was Arnold Lanny, who was not a pop punk producer whatsoever. He was not a pop punk writer. He was not a pop punk producer. And he had come from the absolute pop world. He was in a band called Sheriff. He was in a band called Frozen Ghost. He was a singer, piano player. And he produced big records in Canada for Our Lady Peace, which is a massive band. Okay. And we love the production for Our Lady Peace. And we're like, okay. And
so, like, again, perfect example that Our Lady Peace was a band when, you know, when all this era, the MTV era, but, you know, just not really being into that specific band at the time. They've still been going, and I've just been out of I've been inside my own bubble, and just, I have no idea what that band even sounds like anymore. Like, I'm sure I've heard them and seen videos, but I could not even tell you what they sound like.
When we landed our deal with our management company, they worked with Arnold because it was kind of a relationship there. So we had a deal where he was going to produce the record. When we got signed, it was already set, and we're like, okay, well, he's not really pop punk, but we love Our Lady Peace, so it's going to sound great. But the result of it is that our first record, to me, you know, no pun intended, lacks a bit of balls. Like, it's the sound of it. I mean, I was more in.
What was the pun? Lacks a bit of balls. What was the pun?
To what Jerry Finn was doing, and I was more into other bands' sound. But we had done a deal where he'd helped us with the demos, and he was going to produce a record, and that was the way it was. So it kind of set us apart in our sound. Like, our sound sounds a little bit different than everybody else's, and probably cleaner and poppier. Yeah. And that has a bit to do with Arnold's sort of aesthetic. And even to the way he wanted me to sing and the way he kind of like not pushed me, but sort of directed me to sing. And that's why I think you see a big leap after our first album to our second album, which we kind of felt like, oh man, that was so pop, and like the drums don't sound bombastic and the guitars aren't as powerful as we wanted to.
So let's listen to this statement again. And again, you guys tell me if you hear more parallels with political culture and politics in general. We're talking about, oh, I wish I'd done that on this album. That's the same kind of thing that I would expect to hear, or maybe not hear, but that Trump would be thinking. Oh, in my first term, I did this, that, and the other. With hindsight, I would love to change that. And now that I'm doing a second album, this is what I want to do with this album.
So we're on the second.
Let's
thing. And that's why I think you see a big leap after our first album to our second album, which we kind of felt like, oh man, that was so pop, and like the drums don't sound bombastic and the guitars aren't as powerful as we wanted to. So we're on the second record, even though we had a deal with Arnold that he was supposed to make the second record, we sort of renegotiated it and went with Bob Rock, because we're like,
right.
We're like, we
did the Black Album and stuff like that for anybody who may not know.
And he did like American Hi-Fi, and he'd done some more pop punk stuff. But we're like, we lack that heaviness and that energy. So let's go with someone else, But yeah, so kind of a long circle around your question. Was it intentional to be poppy? A little bit, but I think that it just happened organically with Arnold and yeah, just my songwriting. Like even to this day, like when I write for Simple Plan or if I write for somebody else, sometimes I look back and at the end result of what I've created, I'm like, God damn, it's so catchy. Sometimes it's like annoyingly catchy. And
that's like, I can relate to that in my own life when, I'll pull together a video and editing or the thumbnail. I'm like, damn, that's good. Why aren't people clicking on this? I would totally click on this. I love this video. But, the people like what the people like. Well,
and I'm like, I wish, like I said, I'm a fan of things that are more more chill and abstract, and like even lyrically, like I'm a fan of stuff that's like a little more not so on the nose, but yet my writing always seems to fall on the nose, and it's just the way I am. Yeah.
Well,
hey, we got mine melted media. I do that all the time. Melted Mind Media in the building. Welcome to the party. Never have to apologize for being late. It's fashionable. I just dropped the link to Melted Mind Media's channel. Definitely go check that out. Welcome to the party, brother. Zig says a Indian Jesus monthly music selection playlist. People that plugs you with dope sounds is cool. Plus sharing is caring.
What?
Are you saying you want me to make a musical selection playlist? The problem is that all my music is gone. I was just talking about this last night in Discord. Google Play Music was a thing that was basically just like a cloud service where you could store your music and you could access it online. So you didn't have to, you didn't have to have a physical thing like an iPod. And this was before phones could really carry that much data. So you would want to put your music on the cloud so that you could access it from wherever. And I use Google Play Music. And I was one of these people that all through my life when I'm gathering new music, I wanted it all perfectly organized. So I'd go through my iTunes and make sure the titles are capitalized. It's the right track title. It's the right band, everything. And then, of course, with downloading from Napster and LimeWire and all that stuff, then you'd get these weird file names. You got to change that in and fill in all the information. And yes, I have plenty of playlists on YouTube. Check out the channel itself. We have a culture playlist. We have a politics playlist. We have a religion playlist. And of course, there's the Indian Jesus Reacts playlist made up of my daily videos. So definitely check that out. There's also the If You Care What I Watch playlist, where when I'm just going through watching content for you guys, and there's something that's cool, but I can't necessarily use it, a lot of times I'll throw it on the playlist of If You Care What I Watch. And then I have my Crypto for Noobs playlist. And that's made up of other people's videos as well. And It's I just similar to when we had Melted My Media up here and we were trying to do kind of a basic understanding of firearms and stuff. It's just so difficult to find that day one entry level information and maybe just one step beyond that. There's the super like, okay, what is the blockchain? But after that, it's like, okay, so you got to take the blockchain and then you do this and you transfer. It's like, whoa, I don't know what you're talking about. So when I was learning about all this stuff, I was like, okay, every video that helps me from day one, I'm going to add to a playlist. So anybody else, not financial advice, but definitely go check that out if you're interested in learning about how to get rid of your silly fiat currency that is quickly losing value. Oh, Melted Mind Media with the $2 super chat said, doggo treats, please. Ask and you shall receive. Eat it. Yeah. All right. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
That's what I liked about it. It took me a little bit at first because I was expecting it to be, I guess for lack of a better word, more punk. But then I was like,
I feel like I was talking about something before the playlist thing. Let's go, because I feel like it was kind of important. Hold on. Oh, Google Play Music. Google Play Music. Oh my goodness. So I had all my music on Google Play Music, and they decided that I guess it wasn't working for them, so they were going to end the program. And I just thought that meant that you couldn't buy music through Google Play anymore. No. What it actually was that they were deleting everything on the servers. And they actually did say that, but, I didn't read the fine print. Of course I would have backed up, 12, 15 years of music. And then just one day, like Thanos, it was gone. It was gone. So much good music. And it was just gone.
Like, okay, this is pop punk, and then I really liked it after I just sort of reoriented. I had expectations and I reoriented. I was like, okay, this is closer to Backstreet Boys than it is to NoFX.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And I love pop. So I think that's one of the strongest records of that whole era.
Well, thank you.
For that exact reason.
Yeah, well, I think that's what I have to keep telling myself, because I think as an artist, you look back at your art, and a lot of times, like I look back at it, and if I'm somewhere and my first album is playing somewhere, I have to run away. I'm like, oh my God, I can't, like, and it's, but I have to understand that the numbers speak for themselves. There was a lot of fans. That was our most successful record. Sure, it has to do with the era, but I mean, people to this day come to our shows because of that first album. And, maybe then it introduced them to the rest of the catalog. But
it's that first album. Why? Because of what I said before. When you go and see that live, first of all, you're listening to it while you're going through, you're in high school and there's whatever is going on. And then, so it's helping you with all of those real life things. Then you go and see it live and you have a great time there. That bolsters that. And now that song is connected to your memories, and your favorite songs become your the soundtrack to your greatest memories.
Like, it's a great record. And, it's funny. I was in a writing session with Chad Tepper, a buddy of mine who I became friends with, and Mitchie Collins, who's the singer for Lovely the Band. And he was like, oh yeah, man, it's like your first record. He's like, I'd do anything. And he started playing the riff, and I'm like, holy shit, like you're a band who I think is more on the, more hip, more cool, and you like that record. So it's, so it's all good.
It feels like you kind of went back to that a little bit with, I forget the one from 2016. I forget the name of that album, but it feels like you kind of went back to that a little.
There you go, Nick. This is what we're doing here, brother. Nick says, I think people can be almost as close-minded with music as they can with politics. People need to keep an open mind. It gets you further in life. Exactly. How do you think I got to be from having no idea? I've told you guys the story many times about how one brisk fall day in my freshman year in college, and I'm walking back to my dorm room after, getting high with my friends. It's, by the middle of the night, and there's a bunch of this was a private school, so there was a not a lot of black people at the school, and I see a bunch of black people, you know, around outside in the courtyard in the middle of the night cheering, and I'm like, what is going on? Turns out that was the day that Obama got elected, and I had no idea. I went from that to then 8 years later. You know, I had the drug addiction in between there, but got out of that. Then I'm like, okay, we're going to really get to it and pay attention to the media. I'm watching MSNBC, and I'm even going to watch the evil Fox News. And I'll throw on CNN a little just to mix it up so I get all of the information. And then we all know what happened next. I voted for Hillary Clinton. But by keeping an open mind, I was able to come back to a place where realizing that following MSNBC and Fox News and CNN only was not a good way to go about it. So then I started reading more printed news. And then I realized, okay, well, these people are lying. And these people are, you know, mixing up words, semantic obfuscation. I didn't have that phrase in my head at the time, but, you know, thinking about all that. And it led me here. From not even knowing that there was a historical election to voting for the worst person to ever walk the face of the earth to being, you know, not really ever seeing myself voting for Trump until yesterday, hearing the DeSantis thing. I'm like, all right, well, as of now, I am in the Trump camp. That's what happens when you can keep an open mind. And that's exactly what we're going for, Nick. You got it. Nail on the head, brother. Nail on the head. Morty is definitely getting cozy.
Yeah, get your heart on.
Yeah, I was like, this just feels like an updated version of the first album, which is a really hard thing to pull off because it's whatever, you know, 15, 20 years later, you're different people, you're not kids anymore, and it really worked.
Yeah. It was a great record for us. And I think we consciously, you know, the sort of the arc of the band's career, you know, we came out swinging with no pads. And because I think we were, at that point, we were all kind of seasoned music writers, and not seasoned, but like we had some experience. And the reason why that record became so big as our debut is because we had experience in, you know, in indie bands and stuff. We're like, you know, we want this to be big. But the arc was really, that first record blew up. We were lucky enough to have a sophomore record that also did really well, multi-platinum around the world. And then our third record was a tough one because the whole musical landscape had changed. And, you know, you didn't see bands like us or even Blink or Green Day being on the top of the charts anymore. And it kind of became, you know, now we're looking at like Timbaland production kind of stuff and Nelly Furtado and Justin Timberlake. And it kind of threw us for a curveball because we're like, what do we do now? Like, and then you also, as an artist at that point, you start to ask yourself, like, okay, do we need to change? Do we need, well, what can we, how do we prove that we're more than just Simple Plan, you know?
Guys, have that whole thing is directly relevant to how people have these become career politicians. They learn to navigate and pivot and, oh, I'm about this today, but that's not going, I'm going to turn a little bit away from that. And I mean, the parallels just keep on coming,
you know, which is an interesting thing. But so the third record was kind of a flop because not only did the industry kind of, you know, turn its head away from pop punk, but it just didn't do super well. So by the time the fourth record came out,
it was the emo hair. That's what did it.
Totally. It was the take yourself too seriously, wear button-up shirts and put your hair like this, and it screwed us.
There you go, Nick. That's another. That was more of the emo bands, not necessarily the emo fans, but the get up. There was a stage where every band would, you know, have their hair. They would still have the swooshy hair, but they would wear like all black suit with a super thin tie and you know, the all that stuff. Fashion, right?
Although now what's funny is that the biggest Simple Plan fans will always say that's their favorite record. So
I can see that.
Yeah. But anyways, so our fourth record, we really wanted to sort of like ignore that. And by the way, I think I might be mixing up records here. 2016 was not Get Your Heart On. It was Taking One for the Team.
I'm bad at remembering album names, so I apologize.
Yeah, but to me,
I'm bad at remembering track names because of the days of CDs. It would just be like, all right, AFI track number 9. Number 9 is always a good track. Always. There's always exceptions to the rule, but no matter what album you have, track 9 is going to be good.
they're very similar because at that point, I'm thinking about 2011 probably. At that point, we decided we're no longer going to like try to prove that we're something different because fans that like Simple Plan fell in love with I'm sorry, I can't be they want that again.
I'm sorry, I can't be. Actually, I don't know the rest of that song. But this is, again, being yourself, being who you are, standing on your on who you are. This is exactly what we need in politics. DeSantis, if you are going to have any chance here, then you have to find your own voice. You can't just be the establishment blob that all the rhinos are like, well, it's not Trump, and we definitely can't vote for the Democrats, so must be DeSantis. I mean, we were seeing, what were we watching in Discord yesterday about how like Daily Wire is running cover hard for Ron DeSantis right now because that's who's going to be best for them, and it's very, their bias for DeSantis is very clear.
And I understand that, and I feel like there are some artists that look at their success and say, I'm not doing that anymore. Screw that. I'm going to do something. And we've kind of done that for a minute.
Which I think is really ultimately a selfish thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to slam anyone for doing that because I think, a lot of bands, I follow Billy Corgan and he explains how, they did that and it really shaped who they are. So you can do it. And look at Fall Out Boy. Fall Out Boy,
sure,
shocked the world with "Light of Love, I'm on fire," and it reshaped.
We're going down to turn it around.
Shape them into something different, and that worked for them. But we are of the frame of mind now where we embrace where we came from. We understand, that fans sort of like that about us, and the challenge, because it is a challenge, is to stick within those borders while still being current and still being creative.
Melty, or maybe you left already, but Ziggs and Nick, you definitely know what I'm about to say. We were just talking about this. How specifically in music, there's 2 ways to impress me. And I draw the analogy to coloring. So you can color in the lines and color in perfectly. Or you can, color out of lines. And either way, you can find success. You can color as perfectly inside the lines as can be, or do something that you're coloring inside the lines in a way that I've never seen before. And the lines are still there, but you're doing something that I've just never seen before. Or you could do where the lines are here and you're going so far outside the lines that I didn't even think that was possible. Either way, I mean, it's not necessarily going to make me like your song, but that is definitely I'm gonna perk up when I'm like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that. Nick says, that's what I actually found attractive about Trump as a candidate. The fact that he actually was the only one that was not a career politician. It was new to me. Yeah. I mean, on the people like me at the time that was a negative, which is obviously stupid at this point. But my thinking was that, Trump and Hillary both suck. There's no question there. There's no question there. But in my mind, it was like, okay, we don't really know what Trump is going to do. We know Hillary's just going to be more Obama. So let's not take the chance. Let's not take the chance. That is not the way that I live my life anymore. And I live a much better life. Zig says, abstract is subjective. Is it? I mean, in certain... No, I disagree. Abstract just means, out of the ordinary, right? What's any official definition? Abstract. Existing in thought or as an idea, but not yet having a fit. Relating to abstract art, Okay. Non-representational. That's where, that's where I'm going. Yeah, so I think that something being abstract doesn't mean necessarily that it's good, that it's bad, that it's this, that it's that. It just means it's different than what we have come to know and expect. But whether you like abstract music, art, whatever, that is definitely that's definitely subjective. K-pop is worse. I've never really been really checked out. Like, what isn't it just pop music with Koreans? Like, what's so different about it? Nick says that is a great analogy. Thank you, sir. Similar and usually liking one thing more to liking things more to one extreme or another. Not always, but in general. Yep. No, I know what the K and K-pop stands for. I'm just saying what's so different about the about K-pop from pop music, like sonically. How is it different than just pop music? Well, that's the presentation. That's not the music. Yeah. Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. New Stream Deck. I'm getting there.
But how do we stick within those parameters and satisfy the fan base because that's who loves us? Yeah. And remain relevant, so I like doing that now. And we've kind of, like 2011 and then the following record, 2016, we really sort of like embraced that, like, let's just be Simple Plan. And if we want to do something else, if I want to make a country record, then I'll make a country record and it won't be Simple Plan. If I want to make a record that's going to sound more like Tame Impala, then I can do that and I can call it, Pierre's Boutique, whatever,
Yeah. I just think it's so frustrating when there's bands that, won't play the hits. And it's like, dude, there's hundreds or thousands of people who came here and paid money that just want to see you play this song. And like, shouldn't you just be excited that anybody gives a shit about something you did 20 years ago?
Yes, because so many of us have dreamt for those 20 years that we could be the one. That we could be the one on that stage. And that we could be the one that wrote a song that everybody not only knows the words to, but comes into a completely different mindset. And hey, we got Zach in the building. Welcome to the party. Said, did we see the Phil Labonte interview? Indeed, we did. I covered that, and you can find that in my library. I thought it was a very cool conversation. Right? That was on this show, right? On Punk Rock MBA, right? Or was it Phil on something else? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Punk Rock MBA. We definitely did something with Phil. Oh man, now I gotta look. Hold on. We definitely. How long ago was that? It's too far back. I don't know where it is. But I definitely covered it. I don't know. It's somewhere. But yes, very cool conversation, especially the fact that, I'm a huge fan of Timcast. That was a great show. And that's actually the first show that I felt comfortable, like kind of stepping a little bit outside of, speaking of coloring in the lines, stepping outside of, okay, it has to be something with religion, or it has to be something with politics, or it has to be something with political, cultural issues. And that was a big one for me. So yeah, welcome to the party, Zach. Good to see ya. Zig says, Korean music is just copying American culture. J-pop, however, has been around way longer and is much better. Interesting. What about, when are we going to get the, I don't have one. I was trying to think of a good one for China pop. Can't all be winners. Hey, we got Opus in the building. What is good? Welcome to the party. I know you know who this is. Welcome, brother. Welcome.
You just be excited that anybody gives a shit about something you did 20 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I maybe it's my Canadian nature. I don't like talking shit about anybody. But there are some bands out there that do that. We all know who they are.
Yeah.
It's not something I think is cool. I mean, all power to them if they want to do it. But I agree, I mean,
But it doesn't make them happy. They're frustrated. It's like they're fighting their fans, and it's like, you can do that if you want, but I just think they'd be happier people if they just practiced a little gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
So let's see. Does that have, the whole thing is we're looking to draw parallels between talking about music and the music culture and the specific scene and the political landscape we have today. Is there a parallel between figures? So I think that would be more in like the pundits and people on YouTube. Do we have people that are just like nasty to their followers? Let's hear it again really quick. But Opus says, is he based? I don't know, because they're not really talking about politics. They're talking about Simple Plan and the pop punk revival and stuff. What we're doing is drawing the parallels between the fact that there is a pop punk revival, that there is something going on with that, and how that is relevant to political culture. So I don't really know. He seems pretty cool, but that's not really what exactly they're talking about. What about H3 actually? What about him? So let's listen to this again. And gotcha. Saying Ethan, I forgot that I asked that. Ethan Klein is nasty to everyone, including his followers. So there we go. There we go. I don't know if I would necessarily call him a political pundit, but that's a good start. So let's listen to this one more again. Come on.
But there are some bands out there that do that. We all know who they are.
Yeah.
Hold on.
A little bit more.
There's a shit to play this song 20 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I maybe it's my Canadian nature. I don't like talking shit about anybody. But there are some bands out there that do that. We all know who they are.
Yeah.
It's not something I think is cool.
So then the parallel would be either YouTubers who get into beefs or politicians who go after other maybe not necessarily more popular, but politicians who will try to, again, make beef with another politician. So, I'm definitely thinking of like Alex Stein 99 and AOC. Not that she's necessarily as much of a willing participant in that beef, but he's he loves that big Latina booty.
It's I mean, all power to them if they want to do it. But I agree, I mean,
but it doesn't make them happy. They're frustrated. It's like they're fighting their fans, and it's like, you can do that if you want, but I just think they'd be happier people if they just practiced a little gratitude.
Yeah,
instead
totally.
Of being angry that people like something you did a long time ago.
Yeah, and
yeah, there you go. AOC goes after Ted Cruz a lot, and it's like you can spend your time creating this type of conflict, but what people actually really want, even though they like seeing the clips of like, oh, AOC burns Ted Cruz, like, even though people love seeing that, what people actually want is for politicians to reach across the aisle and fix the damn country. Mountain My Media says she does have a donk. Can't blame Alex. I definitely feel ya. Oh, I feel ya.
And the bottom line is that if a band is frustrated by the success of a certain song, my advice would be like, okay, I understand you don't want people shouting, play Creep or whatever they're going to say, so play it in the beginning of the set. Yep. Play the songs you don't want to play, knock them out. It'll take you 8 minutes, maybe 10. The 3 songs that you don't want to play those. Then the people that came to see them, maybe they'll walk away.
Fine.
And then everyone's happy,
I've been to so many shows in the last, maybe not so many, but enough, a plurality of shows that after I was in that local scene when I was 15, 16, like in my early 20s, when I would go to shows, much fewer and further between than when I was in high school. But I still went to see these same bands that I was listening to in high school, and I wanted to hear the songs that I knew from high school. A lot of times I didn't even know what their new music was, and they wouldn't play a single song that I knew. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm jamming. Like, this is one of my favorite bands. They're good. But like the sound quality is not, if I just wanted to hear new music, then I would just go listen to new music. I wanted to come and be in a crowd of people who were singing the same song, who had, similar memories with this music, with this band. And so for the bands to not want to do what the people want them to do, it's like, what are you doing here? Same thing with politics. If you're not here to do what your constituents, AOC is a perfect example. Opus said AOC is one of those people who is so stupid and detestable to me that I wouldn't even hate. Oh my goodness. Disrespectful. But yeah, she's a perfect example of someone who is just going out and not, instead of doing things to help her constituency, she's just trying to get fame from whoever. And I mean, people may like her because they're uninformed at how little she's actually doing to help them directly and just giving them good sound bites. What they really want is for Ted Cruz and AOC, everybody, to come together and fix something, anything. Nick says, I often say, I don't have a moment left in life to make an enemy, but I have the rest of my life to make a new friend. Love that. So did Opus. Zeg says, some politicians just want to be famous. AOC is just an influencer. Yep. And it's the same thing with it's the same thing with a lot of these bands, that they don't care about connecting with their fans. They don't care about connecting with the people who listen to them. They just want to be famous, and they don't care what it takes, and it doesn't mean anything to them. And so a lot of people can tell the difference, but a lot of people can't. And it's worse with politics than it is with music. Number one, because it doesn't really matter that much in music. If you like the band, then you like the band. If you don't like the band, it's whatever. Politics, now we're talking about, you're affecting my day-to-day life. And if you're just going out there to enrich yourself, which we all know that's what politics is all about, then you're not helping me. Ultimate Media said, like, going to Skynyrd, you're going to hear Freebird at least once. Like, how mad would you be if you went to see Leonard Skynyrd and you didn't hear Freebird? Like, what? That, I would want my money back. I would want my money back. It is what it is, baby. You gotta play the hits. Do what brought you to the dance.
So yeah, I think when we play a show, we play I'm Just a Kid every time. We play Perfect. We play I Do Anything.
I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. Oh man, I love that song.
We play Addicted. We play all those.
I'm a dick. I'm addicted to you.
Welcome to My Life, because I know that those songs mean a lot to some people, and like I said, I'm grateful that we've created those songs and that they connected with people.
And I even understand, as having been in multiple bands and played multiple shows and had to practice the same song over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where then we write a new song. It's like, I hate that song. We played it so much, people know it. It's on the demo we put out. I want to play the new stuff. But if people like that, then why are you getting offended by that? They're saying your creation, something that you came up with in your mind. It is now in the age of CDs, it's now a physical, real, tangible thing in the world. Yeah, man, that's so much. And before you got here, I think you were there at Discord, but when I was talking about how Google Play Music had all my entire library for my entire life, and then it just deleted, and my high school soundtrack is gone.
So
I thought it was cool. I saw you guys on the Sum 41 tour last year, and there was a woman in front of me who was just going crazy, and her friend, I think she had.
Are you talking about Lucy? No, now you got me. Stacy's mom has got it going on. Stacy's mom has got it going on. All I want for so long.
A little bit to drink, and her friend was like, I'm sorry. It's just, she's really excited because this is her first time away from her kids, in months. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
That she's a mom now, and that this still means so much to her, and she's still having fun with these same songs, and for you guys to be able to give her that same feeling, in her 30s as a mother is awesome.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting thing about being a band that has had longevity, and lucky enough to have some continued success, is to see people that I have to imagine that for some people, our first and second record back in those days in the early 2000s, that was their most significant musical, their most significant albums they'd ever experienced or purchased.
Sure.
And for me, it wasn't specifically Simple Plan, but for the purposes of this conversation, it may as well have been, because the music that he is referring to is the first thing that was really mine. I think the very first music that was mine, that I didn't get from my brother or somebody else that was older than me, was Linkin Park. I remember it was my grandma's 70th birthday party, and she lives in Florida, so it was a huge event. We flew, the whole family flew from all over to come and celebrate her 70th birthday. And I remember my cousin burned me Hybrid Theory, and I just blew my mind. And my brother didn't like them, so finally it was my music. And so many people felt exactly the same way. And that's why when Chester died, it was such a big thing. You're incorrect, sir! You're incorrect. Auto-tune is exactly what has been used for way longer than T-Pain has ever been around. You mean the T-Pain effect is what ruined or corrupted singing. There has not been exactly. There has not been an album that has been released without using autotune probably in 30 years. When did autotune? When did Antares autotune come out? Yeah, I know the brand. 1996. That's when autotune came out. So I'm not necessarily saying everything from 1996 and on had autotune, but pretty much, and certainly everything in pop music had autotune. It's just we didn't know that was used. Yeah, okay, there you go. Thank you. At least the 70s. And shout out to Chester. It's just that nobody noticed. Do you think people would just go in and have perfect timing and perfect this? I mean, there was always an element of whether it's pitch correction or timing correction for a long time. That's why live versions are a thing, because it's different. There's the human element in there. Where what makes you say this, Ziggs? Because I'm curious, because a lot of people feel this way. You sure about that? There is no way any 90s R&B ever hit the airwaves without extensive autotune. There is no way.
And to me, that's incredible, because, we all have those artists that you look back at and you think, like, when I grew up, this record changed my life or whatever. And to be able to be that band for someone and see them grow up. And the coolest thing oftentimes now, because we do like meet and greets, and we'll have someone show up with a young child, and it'll be like, a 7-8-year-old or whatever. And they're like, this is my kid, and I grew up listening to your music, and now my kid loves your music.
That's awesome. I would love to have kids in time to be able to bring them to a show of a band that I saw in high school. That would be amazing. Opus says, general lack of creativity and this mentality that everything great has been written is what kills music. I completely agree. And part of how I came to my positions on stuff like this is because of Finn McKenty, the guy in the hat here, that he would talk about. His channel is called the Punk Rock MBA, But he does the he does Twitch now, so that's kind of more his thing, live streaming. But he used to always have these just regular videos, and he would be exploring different aspects and of music in general, and talk about, he has a background in marketing, so this whole sellout thing that I was talking about before, he would address that. And same thing with the auto tune, that everybody thinks that like auto tune was just T-Pain, and it's like, have you heard T-Pain sing without auto-tune? He's great. It's just an effect. The same way that you put distortion on your guitar, it's just another thing. And remember, there's entirely electronic music that is not created with anything but a computer, and it's amazing. So that's another part. That brings up another part of this this gatekeeping. Like, oh, well, it's not real music unless they play with guitars. It's not real music because it's just a guy with a DJ. And it's not real music because they use auto-tune. Like, well, does it sound good? Well, then what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Some of the best songs have been some of the most simple songs. And I have been, so I mean, it really hurt the bands that I was in having the same mentality that complex equals better. I was not able to write. I was very, very good at guitar, and I was really good at drums, but I wasn't able to write music because I was obsessed with the idea of like, what is it doing? What am I doing? Instead of how does it sound? I was like, okay, I'm going to try to make something that nobody's ever seen before. Instead of just putting some chords together and adding a little beep, beep, beep. And there you go. You got a song. This idea that it has to be so different. Exactly what Opus is talking about. Everything great has already been done. You sure? Because there's a lot of new music. And so Finn was focusing a long time before this pop punk revival, which he's explicitly predicted. I tell you guys about when it comes to politics and pundits and people that you listen to, a great sign of somebody that you should be listening to is somebody who can predict the future, not because they have a crystal ball, but because they understand what's going on. They see the pieces and they can connect the dots. So for him to be able to see like, oh, this whole back when, SoundCloud mumble rap was like at its peak, he was saying, look, there's a lot of metal elements in here. You look at like people like who was it, Ghostmane and stuff like that. There's a lot of metal elements, and then the fashion was very close to the mid 2000s emo look. And here we are with an emo pop punk revival. Opus said also, overexposure from a young age is a problem. Seeing so many people doing incredible things on the internet will discourage many. When instead, if they were out practicing something instead of watching YouTube, they might be better. Yeah, like there's a this girl, Elise Trout. I forget how to spell her name, but you'll find it. And she does these looping videos, and it's awesome. So she'll pick up a it's too far, but she'll pick up her guitar and she'll be like beep 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 beep. And then she'll have that on a looping machine. So she plays it once, and now it loops. So boom, 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 and she can put the guitar down, and you're still hearing boom, 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 boom. And now she picks up the gets behind the drum kit, and she's like boom, 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 boom. And then she'll pick up the bass guitar and add a bass line. Then she'll go to the a harpsichord sound on the keyboard. It hasn't all been done. It just hasn't. That's like saying every book ever worth reading has been written already. It's just not. Nick says music probably started as grunting together. Yep. That and drum circles. Yeah. We may not think much of it, but it's some caveman's favorite jam. Yeah, exactly. Melty Mind Media says a lot of music right now is sampling from other tracks in the past, which again is another way to give life to that music while also simultaneously creating something entirely new. What are we doing right now? This conversation already happened. This video is already done. If you want to watch this interview, you don't need me. You can go on the internet and just watch this interview. But at the same time, We are now creating something brand new using sampling from other tracks in the past.
So to some people now, we've become that band that like, oh, my mom loved you, or like you're my mom's favorite band, and it's like, it's so weird. So it goes into the bigger question of like what it feels like to get older, But yeah, to be part of that, to be around long enough to see that happen, to be someone's parents' favorite band and they like them too. It feels like to me what it would be like for me to say to my dad, I think the Beatles are awesome. He's like, oh.
That's exactly where I was going to go, is that we that the lack of not unity, but the lack of the whereas we in the MTV era had that thing that everybody knew, even like we were saying, the movies, everything, even if you didn't see the movie, you knew about it because everybody only had a few choices of what to watch or what to listen to. The fact that dissipated and everything was decentralized, and now we've come back and some of this stuff is getting a lot more popular again, then there's not really a oh, that's not music, turn that down. That whole trope of parents hating kids' music. It doesn't have to be that way. And then on top of that, maybe, just maybe, pop punk is just really that good. Could it be? Maybe. Opus says, my degree is in music and education. Awesome. I wish everyone would take a music history class. Yup. That would be huge. Just understanding the chronology of how music developed would be amazing. Good point. Zig says, like the genre lo-fi and funk use lots of old jazz. Most 90s R&B music also sampled from the 70s. Absolutely right. And there was, even though, I mean, all of rap is based on sampling something. I mean, if you've a great show, one of the Netflix originals that I really, really like, and I wish it would have continued, was oh no, I can't remember the name. Oh, we gotta look it up. What was that? Netflix DJ show. Come on. The Get Down. There we go. The Get Down. Give me a picture here. Nothing. All right. Well, the Get Down. It takes place in the 70s, and it's about how DJing and hip hop and all that got started. And it's a really, 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 really cool story. And like Opus is saying, it's real. Obviously, the characters are fictional. But the way that someone was like, oh, the hook, taking this one part of this 70s disco song and turning it into something completely different and something that bombs. It's awesome. I'm not familiar with like funk, as in, are you just saying funk? What's the difference between funk and funk? Zig says drum and bass took hip hop beats and increased its tempo. Yep. Music is the key to everything.
Oh, that was my favorite band, and I'm not comparing Simple Plan to the Beatles. So, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, the flip side of that, you've talked about this before in interviews about how much of backlash you got from the, real punk people. I think I remember someone threw a bottle or something at you once.
Yeah, so like dubstep was taking a lot of things and just changing the tempo, and then adding other stuff with it. Perfect example. It says, I love the Beatles come together, and Godsmack did it so faithfully, just harder. So it was like they took a hard tone song and then made it hard now. I love both versions. That's great. When you can get a good cover. Oh, a good cover is, I think what happens is either people try to stay too close to the original song and just try to replicate it, or they change it so much that it's still kind of the same song, but the essence of what that song is not really in the cover. And if you find that middle ground, it's really great. Opus said some idiot from like the New York Times or one of those massive publications did a piece on how overrated the Beatles are. I've never wanted to burn a business down, but See, again, I mean, my dad definitely was into the Beatles, but because I had an older brother who was more into, like the underground hardcore punk that was happening in the 90s, I didn't really relate to him in that way. And he wasn't like a huge fan of the Beatles, but he liked the Beatles. He grew up, listening to the Beatles. Even in the Caribbean, it was the Beatles. But my parents really just listened to like jazz music, and not even like good jazz music, like soft jazz, smooth jazz, like Kenny G and stuff. So I was like, this is this is parents' music, and now we're seeing that kind of idea of mom and dad music is kind of fading away. So he says funk is like jazz trap with rap. Okay, word up. We can check some of that out later in the after party. Zig said yesterday of the Beatles is a classic. We said you don't have to like the Beatles, but overrated is just a complete lack of understanding and refusal to acknowledge their influence. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't like the Beatles really at all. I mean, there's some catchy songs, but you'd be hard pressed to find me sitting down to specifically listen to the Beatles. Just it's not really my sound. That being said, I absolutely can understand the influence and how everybody else loves the Beatles, and everybody that I listen to has drawn from the Beatles. That's, again, if we want to draw parallels to politics, without understanding the history of what happened, without understanding what this president did and that president did, and why this happened, and this happens in that country. So all of the just history in general, without understanding history, you're doomed to repeat it. But without understanding history, then you're not going to have a full context of what's going on now. And you're going to just think like whatever snappy message that is told to you, like, oh, Republicans are bad because they're racist. Okay. That's history in any context is important.
I would imagine that probably.
Wait, I missed what he said. Let's back her up.
Much of, yeah. Well, the flip side of that, you've talked about this before in interviews about how much of backlash you got from the, real punk people. I think I remember someone threw a bottle or something at you once. I would imagine that probably wasn't super fun. How did that feel at the time? Not just the bottle, but just in general, all you guys and all those bands got so much shit.
Yeah, no, there was
I'm
not surprised, motherfuckers.
To set the record straight, I had thousands of bottles thrown at me in my career,
Okay.
but one landed in my face, which was strangely enough was in Canada. So in those days when Simple Plan, Good Charlotte, Sum 41, Newfound Glory, maybe less Newfound Glory, but all those bands that we kind of blew up and we were more poppy. There was a lot of hate. You know what I mean? There was. I remember even the cover when we did the cover of Alternative Press. The cover was about how much we were loved and hated. So it was a big thing. And I remember we even whenever we thought about doing like festivals or certain things or who we'd play before or who we'd play after. It was always a discussion like, oh, fuck, man, we're going to get fucking killed. Right. You know what I mean?
And so you get a similar, again, trying to draw parallels here. We have a very similar type of thing of who you're going to follow in other forms of art, specifically in stand-up comedy. And I only know this much about that because of Joe Rogan and how much does his podcast, affect, the political discussion. It all ties together, guys. It all ties together.
Yeah, if you got to play up to Rancid or something like that.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I think it kind of built some character into us, and like playing Warped Tour and playing the smaller. We almost preferred playing the smaller stages because we knew that we'd only get people that wanted to come to see our band, as opposed to the people that are like, "Fuck you."
Right.
I would never be at the main stage at Warped Tour. I mean, maybe the one band or the closing band, but I was always at the smaller tables because I was cool. I was really underground, like for real, guys, really.
When's No Effects? Pennywise is coming up, But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting time. But yeah, it built some, it actually gave us a bit of a chip on our shoulder, which fueled a lot of our creativity. But it's interesting. Yeah, I got hit in the face by a bottle in somewhere in Ontario in Canada, and it was a show that we were playing with Sum 41.
Yeah, Sum 41. So Opus says a lot of haters are actually fans deep down. Well, if they're not fans, they're either fans or they are people who legitimately hate you, but they're jealous. People only hate when you are doing something right. People don't hate on losers. People don't hate on people they don't care about. They only hate when you're doing something right. Nick said, surprisingly, the Beatles were not a band Mom played much when I was young. But she played a lot of good music, both old and new. That influenced the music I like. It made me keep an open mind. Nice. Good parenting there. Opus said, it's like Tim Pool's audience. Chat rags on him all night and all night, every night, but they actually love the show. Yeah, completely agree. And you guys definitely give me some shit every now and then.
Oddly enough, but we were playing a show. We were like 3/4 of the set done, and a bottle of like, those like 500 milliliter bottles of like Coke with the.
You mean 2 liter, you damn Canadian?
With the bottle on the bottom like this. It was full, or pretty full, and it was swung at me. I don't know how far, like hundreds of feet away, and it clocked me right in the face. And
or is that a 20 ounce?
Cut my face, and I think it chipped a little bit of my my bone here.
Yeah.
But I had to stop the show. I was almost knocked out. But it was. I'm saying this because years later, I have a Cameo account where I do cameos for people. Someone said, hey, I want to get a cameo for this girl. She threw a bottle at you in Ontario like 15 years ago. And she feels so bad about it because she didn't actually intend on hitting you. It was just a mosh pit. She was like, woo, and socked me in the face.
It do be like that.
And it was so funny. So I did a cameo for this person. I was like, it's okay. I forgive you. It's all good.
And then you press charges. Like, see you in court.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally forgive you, but I'm going to sue your ass.
But yeah, it was really, really fun. But yeah, there was a time where there was a lot of mud, especially, the funny thing, because success comes with hate, right? So we were playing Warped Tours, and whenever Warped Tour would go to Canada, which we were bigger in Canada because we're from Canada, that's where we'd get the most hate. So
interesting.
We kind of learned we learned to understand that if people really, 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 really hate you, it's because you're really, really, really popular. So, it is what it is.
Bingo.
Yeah, I mean, I've even noticed that even for myself, and I'm obviously nowhere near as successful as you guys
and I've noticed that for myself, and I'm nowhere near as successful as Finn
are. But even for me, it's like every time I open Reddit, there's some new thread about how much I suck, and it's like, oh well, I guess this is just what happens when you start to do something that people pay attention to. Then
people get jealous or they get irritated that you are getting attention, and they just want to slam you down. So
yeah, I always thought it was so weird that all of you guys, but especially Simple Plan, would get any hate because all those bands were so nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a segment of people that don't like nice, that when you're nice, that makes them hate you more.
It's because you appear to be happy when you're nice, and they're clearly unhappy.
That is something that goes across the board for life. When people hate you because you're nice, it's because they don't have a nice bone in their body, and they wish they could find a way to live life and just be smiling and happy, but they're all just shut up because they don't know how to be normal people.
Segment of people that don't like nice, that when you're nice, that makes them hate you more.
It's because you appear to be happy when you're nice, and they're clearly unhappy, and they're like, why are you so fucking happy? What are you smiling about?
Right. Why are you miserable like me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think that, I think it begins in the adolescent age, because what you like and what you don't like when you're a teenager, is all you have.
What did I say? What have I been saying for months? For months. That trans is the new emo. Listen to what he just said, and I think he's going to explain a little more. And tell me replace your music taste, replace whatever he's talking about with gender identity.
I think it begins in the adolescent age, because what you like and what you don't like when you're a teenager, is all you have. You live at your parents' house. They have to take you where you want to go. You can't buy your own shit because maybe you do have a job, but you can't buy everything. So what do you own? You own your taste.
You own your identity.
You own who you are by.
You own your pronouns.
What you wear,
whether it's a dress or whether it's pants.
You own. You identify as.
Identify.
I don't like that. That's who I am. I like this. That's who I am. I wear.
And it used to be bands, and now it's dicks. America 2023. Melty says, you're more likely to have the stuff you don't like at a young age. Yeah, well, not necessarily that you're more likely to have the stuff that you don't like, but you're just not likely to be able to curate exactly what you like when you're younger, because you have to deal with, your parents and how they, like, you guys see when we're in Discord and you guys see me chilling in my room, everything I need is within reach of my bed. There is an ashtray, a giant cigar ashtray that's like that big on my bed. On my bed. Why? Because I need to ash into it. All of my weed is, within reach. If I see a fly, my salt gun is right under the table. My laptop is right there. If I want to go crazy and do a dab, I got my Puffco right on the thing. Everything is there. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Sometimes, I don't know if you could tell, but I don't eat as much as I should. So I keep a thing of Quick Oats, the instant oatmeal in my room, and a giant thing of maple syrup, and an electric kettle. So what I'll do is, I have my water bottle, just water that I'm drinking throughout the night if I'm thirsty. Pour some into the kettle. Pour some oatmeal into the bowl. Light that up. That gets hot. It's boiling water. You pour it in. Pour in some maple syrup. 2 minutes later, you got a whole meal. Didn't even have to get up. That's why I'm saying they need to invent some clean way to be able to pee in bed without having to get up. That is the one thing that I can't do from bed. Getting up to pee is the most frustrating thing, because it's the only thing. Like, why can't there be like a sanitizing cup that is connected to a hose, and you just have, plumbing right there, and you just pee into it? Like, all right, if you guys take a shit, like, you're shit out of luck. But you know what I mean? Melty's right there with me. I know this is from something different, but I'm just using it. What does he say? The Peak Pro in place of an alarm clock, you lucky bastard. Don't need an alarm clock, because I don't really. I just get up whenever I get up. But then, I am up until the middle of the night. But I do it for you because of how much I love you guys. Zach says, I eat Quick Oats with frozen berries every day. There you go. This man knows what is good. Nick says, makes sense to me. So if you're crazy, you ain't alone. Hey, we are all a family. We are a crazy family. Well, he says, a catheter and a bedpan. That's not like you're going to be sitting with a catheter and you're going to put in and take out a catheter every day. And like, I don't know exactly how bedpans work, but aren't they just like a metal thing that's like under you and you just go? That's not comfortable. I just want to be able to roll over, have like a spot to pee right there. But it's there's some suction. That's sanitary to you? Sanitary was the qualifier here. I mean, you could pee in a bottle. Like for those of you who know what this means, you know what it means. But like, trying to be professional here. Like, what are we talking? Oh my God. Can you imagine? Oh, that, I'm just, okay. I need to get that thought out of my head. But let's go back because I stopped this a lot. And again, I want you to think about how this guy, they're not talking about politics at all. They're not talking about politics or trans stuff at all. But how closely does it fit?
When you're a teenager, is all you have. You live at your parents' house. They have to take you where you want to go. You can't buy your own shit because maybe you do have a job, but you can't buy everything. So what do you own? You own your taste. You own, you own who you are by what you wear. You own, you identify as to, I don't like that. That's who I am. I like this. That's who I am.
So he's saying this and that. I don't like this. I don't like that. But it's, I am like that. I am not like that. It's not what I like. It's what I'm like.
I wear this. That's who I am. So you develop and you're trying desperately to separate yourself from your parents and what your house looks like, what your room looks like, what you're unable to.
Ziggs, I just got rid of one of the things that would be perfect for here. Damn. I had the perfect, this would be perfect for my tire squeal. But excuse me, sir. Do not misgender my dog. He's a man. He may not have his balls, but he is a man. Melty says, can you imagine? Wait, let me get that thought out of my head. Yeah, right. I mean, I'm here. It comes and it goes. I'm live with you guys. This is not prepared. We all chilling. You dare me to what? Dare me to what? Dare me to what, bitch? Just kidding.
To control.
Love you.
So what you can control.
Yeah, let's back to what we were saying.
And you're trying desperately to separate yourself from your parents and what your house looks like, what your room looks like, what you're unable to control. So what you can control is to tell people what you like
and who you like
and what you dislike
and what's in your pants or what you want to be in your pants.
So people get really passionate about that, and some people have trouble outgrowing that phase. And they just,
like if you look at the comments on Epitaph's Facebook page, that's my favorite. People in their 40s and 50s.
Good question from Zach. My favorite band of all time. So I would have to, it's a tough one. It's definitely it's not a tie, but just in different ways. I have 4 artists that I would put at the top for different reasons. So I have Blink-182 for being the first band that really got me, before I discovered Blink-182 from my brother, where the first album they had, the Flycatcher. Actually, I think it might have been Cheshire Cat, but whatever, one of their early albums. That was the first time I was listening to Hanson and whatever my mom was listening to before that. So Blink-182 just started me down the path. Then there is Census Fail, who that brooding drop D actually emo type of music. I didn't know that music like that existed, and they they had their ups and downs, but the peak Census Fail up there. There's also August Burns Red, a metalcore band. And I just think they, technically they are one of the best bands without sacrificing the sound. Before I was talking about how rock music got into this arms race of who could be the heaviest, and it wasn't even music anymore. But I think August Burns Red is a perfect mix of melody and that heavy metal rhythm type stuff, but still having song structure. And then 4 would be RX Bandits. Does anybody know RX Bandits? Because if not, that is the first thing we are doing in the after party. RX Bandits was the band that taught me what the word progressive in music, not in politics, means. In music, progressive is very, very good. In politics, progressive is very, very bad. Before RX Bandits, and before I was really listening to RX Bandits like that, then I was thinking of music, and remember, I was in bands, I was trying to write stuff, And I was thinking about, okay, what's the intro and then the verse and then the chorus and then we'll do a little bridge and then we'll do the breakdown and that was the song structure. I just thought it had to be like that. There we go. Zach knows, and the battle begun. Before that, I thought a song had to be structured like that. And then RX Bandits taught me, like, oh, you can write a song that's like this part and then that part and then that part and then a different part and then a different part. And as long as it tells as long as it is cohesive and tells a story sonically, then it works. And I mean, life changed from RX Bandits. Oh man. The first time I saw them was at the Bowery Ballroom, I think it is, whatever Bowery venue is in New York City. And I went with some college friends, and they had ecstasy pills, and I had never done ecstasy before at that point. But I wish I did. Oh, that would have made it so amazing. But then, you know, like Melty's talking about, I can't pick a favorite genre. No way I can pick a band or even a top three. It is difficult, but you know, when I'm answering this question, I'm thinking more about influence than specifically how much I enjoyed just sonically the band, because there's so many bands that I really just like a lot, and they're very different from each other. So it is very much like comparing apples and oranges. But there's reasons that I have, you know, places for those for. And then, you know, you could talk about even in electronic music, I have completely different reasons for my top 5 or whatever. You're like, Deadmau5 would be number 1 because I think Strobe is the most beautifully, what's the word? The most beautifully composed song since, you know, probably the era of the Beatles in the 60s. I don't think that there's anything that's been more well composed outside of like actual classical music, which I you know, it doesn't do the same thing. Then it's you know, it doesn't match. But then you have like Headhunters, which he is probably the best at mixing the hardness of hardstyle, which is kind of like the metal of electronic music. Not really, but close enough. And so he does a good job of, you know, bringing it and really, you know, bringing it hard, but also, like I said, with August Burns Red, mixing it with that melody. So I think that's what's going to be the after party, a run through not only the music that I like, but I forgot, I haven't shown you guys Nick maybe, but everybody else here is relatively new, and I haven't shown you guys my band from college, and I think you'd be a little surprised. There's only a few songs, but that is going to be the after party. And Opus with a great idea. Everyone post one song to share with everyone in the Discord, and we're gonna go through all of them. Great job. Yeah, only one, and we'll do that. And if you are not aware, you can click the link right there to join 24/7. We're in there clickety clacking, but after every stream, and sometimes, you know, whenever we're just hanging out, we can go in. Hear me? Okay, we go into the video chat room and hang out and do just like this. But again, you're not behind a keyboard. You're actually there talking with me. It's a great time. All right, where were we?
It's on Epitaph's Facebook page. That's my favorite. People in their 40s and 50s still doing that.
Like, man, come on, dude. Come on. It's like, how about you just, you know, just, you don't like that. You let it go. Let it go.
Well, speaking of what you wear, you did your clothing brand Role Model for quite a while, which I thought was really cool. That was kind of back in the era, you know, when the Blink guys were doing like Famous and Atticus and Macbeth, and there's probably some other ones I'm not thinking of. I thought that whole era was really cool and fun. What was that like for you guys? And is that something you would ever bring back?
It was super fun. You're absolutely right. We saw what Blink was doing. And I think that at the time, you know, all the bands like us and Newfound and all those people, we were all just walking posters for Billabong, for Hurley. And they were very simple shirts like I'm wearing today, you know, like that we felt like, hey, why are we promoting all these brands when we could do our own?
Bro, I remember how cool it was to have Billabong or Hurley And it wasn't like, these aren't like well designed things. Like even he's talking about simple shirt like he's wearing, but there's the colors, there's the typeface and everything. But these were just like the brand. You would just get a shirt, and let's go to shopping, and it's like it's just the brand. Like it's just this. This would be amazing. And now it's $16. Back then, it was probably about the same price. Crazy. Same thing with Billabong. Same thing with bro. Yeah, right. From Pakistan, bro. They were shirts. They were no different. They were the Hanes Classics with the print on it. This is the media getting to you. Oh, Hurley's better. They have better quality. It's just Hanes Classics with print on it. Where do you think they get the shirts from? But that's what, well, yeah, but you had a super soft one because it was, that wasn't Hurley. You just bought a higher version of the print on a higher quality shirt. That's how it works. I mean, even, speaking of my6shirt.com, we have the regular Indian Jesus shirt for $13, but there's a whole bunch of different ones. You could do the tri-blend. This one, I believe, is the, I think this one is the extra soft. But yeah, we got the regular, the classic, extra soft, ringer, these are all the same shirt, but all the same design, but it's on a different shirt. So whichever shirt you pick is going to have a different price because it's going to have a different comfort level. Know what I'm saying? Hurley board shorts elite though. That I guess that there's I never had them because my mom would never buy them. I was only allowed to get like Walmart, JCPenney, or Old Navy. But there was something to definitely like the bathing suits and board shorts that like the ones I had were thin and oh my goodness. You think I forget you, bro? You think I forget you? I know who you are. Welcome to the party. Oh my goodness, it's been a while, brother. It's very, very, very good to see you. How have you been? Awesome. Welcome back to the party. We are talking with the Simple Plan guy and Punk Rock MBA. They're talking about music, and we are connecting it to politics. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Multimedia says with the checkered Vans was the fit in middle school. Well, I was in high school at the time, in college, but yeah, that was another one, like Converse and Vans. Like everybody had them. The posers would get Etnies or DC because nobody who actually skated would use those. Vans were actually good skating shoes. I prefer like Element or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it was just the look. And Converse, what? Those were the most uncomfortable shoes I've ever worn. Ever. That's why we're doing it, baby. Trying to get a little, refreshing energy, a little, dive outside the wheelhouse a little bit. So thank you. Opposite, I'm from the Jenko jeans era. Yep. Also, jeans I was not allowed to get. So I had to get the knockoff ones. I remember like my brother's friend would come over and he would have the Jenko jeans. I could fit 7 notebooks in my back pocket. I'm like, why do you need that? It's like, you don't. It's just awesome. It is. Jenko jeans. That will never be not cool to me. I was never a shoe guy. So I had the, Pumas, like I said, was part of the, you have your t-shirt, you have your camo shorts, you have your military hat, you have your Pumas. So I had Pumas for a while, but I'm not really big on, shoes. Because like I found that there's no really comfortable and stylish shoe. And so I just buy, basic. Well, first of all, if I'm allowed to, meaning I'm not going out to dinner or I'm not going out on a date or something, then I am certainly not wearing anything but my Uggs because those are comfortable. But, if I actually have to go out, then, I'll just use regular Walmart shoes because even more expensive sneakers are not going to be more comfy you got to use the inner sole. So you buy a size too big and get a good inner sole. So crappy shoes, but a good inner sole. Oh, and coming up hot with the $4.99 said, I missed you, Daddy. I missed you too, brother. And you may not know, but every single super chat comes with a treat for Morty. Let's give Division Plus, aka Positile, a little dance. Come on, dance for it, baby. There you go. All right. Thank you so much, brother. I really, really do appreciate that. All right. So let's dive back in and see where we were.
Early.
Yep.
And they were very simple shirts like I'm wearing today, like that we felt like, hey, why are we promoting all these brands when we could do?
Wait. You're just wrong. Jenkos are awesome, and you're just not cool enough to understand.
Do our own. And oftentimes we were going to stores looking for a certain shirt. Like, I want a shirt that looks like this. Like, well, let's just make one, So seeing after,
why don't you make your own?
Mark and Tom and Travis did their own lines, we're like, hey, we can do that. We create merch for Simple Plan. Let's just do something like that. And we had a guy that used to work for our band. He was kind of the sixth member of the band. His name was Pat, and he was our videographer, which we kind of emulated what Blink was doing. They had a guy back in the day called Cheetah who would do all their DVDs, and he'd follow the band everywhere. So Pat was our Cheetah, and he had the idea for Role Model. He's like, I have an idea for a clothing brand. It's going to be called Role Model. We should do it all together. And we're like, okay, cool. We did it. It was super fun, and I'm a little bit bummed because it became quite successful. We were in Hot Topic, and we had some cool stuff. We talked about doing a deal with this guy that didn't work out in Montreal to do like more elaborate clothing designs.
You guys are funny tonight.
There was a company, I think in the UK, that is still around called Role Model Clothing, and they make scrubs. They make stuff for like, medical stuff or different things unrelated to Role Model Clothing that we're doing. And for some reason, they found out about our success, and they came after us, and they had the means to sort of make a cease and desist and all that stuff. So we looked into buying the name and copywriting it and getting them out, or trying to fight it, in the legal system. And it became very costly. And at that point, it was during the third album when we were like, no, we don't want to look like that anymore. Now we want to wear stuff that's more sophisticated, So
skinny ties.
Yeah, exactly. So those.
Yeah, I told you skinny ties were part of it. Let's see what. Okay, let's get. Simple Plan in suits. Yep. What? How come every time I open one of these, they're always so small? Always. Well, you get it. Jesus. Come on. You get it. Let me get rid of that. What are y'all saying? Yeah, you're mean.
How dare you?
Opus said, I never liked skinny ties, and I've worn a lot of ties when I had to for work. Same that I had to wear a lot of ties, but oh my God, I didn't have any. I worked in an Italian restaurant at a Carrabba's where you had to wear a tie. And I just did. You saw that the biggest one, filter by size, large. This is the image. And I zoomed that in. This was what it looked like when I opened it. You saw me go to large. But yeah, I had to wear a tie to work, and I didn't have any ties. And ties aren't expensive, but they're not cheap. And I mean, you can get cheap ties, but this is where I'm out of college. I'm not really seeing people anymore. You guys know that I don't really go out of the house to do stuff. And if you ever worked in a restaurant, you know that the girls are it's a market there. You know what I mean? So my dad donated like 50 ties to me, but they were all like the 90s ties where it was like goes, and it was so fat. So I eventually just bought some cheap skinny tie, because it just, especially with having a smaller body and a big head, and I didn't have the hair at the time, So it looked better. But yeah, exactly, bitch.
Those two things combined, the fact that we were constantly being harassed by this company that wanted to sue us, and the fact that our style was changing, we just said, you know what, guys, let's stop doing this. But yeah, I'd love to bring it back. It was super fun. I liked doing it. Chuck was a big part of it as well. Him and I did it. And there's a bit of a demand for it. So it would be cool to do something.
Ask those who were in Discord last night.
I think it's a great name still.
Yeah.
You know, whether you take it, sarcastically or seriously, I think it's a good name. So we'll see. We've talked about it many times. I think there's a lot of things that we'd like to do, but we're all older guys now. All of us have children. We all have different things, and sometimes there's only a certain amount of hours in a day that you can dedicate to creativity. So, but yeah, we'd love to do it. We'd love to do it.
I feel like if you just brought back some of the like classic designs, now is the perfect time to do that.
Yeah.
Yo, my hair was way better than Vivek's hair. Come on. You've seen it. I've always had good hair.
We did it on our anniversary tour, the 15th anniversary tour for No Pads, which happened in 2017. We reissued the role model number 9 shirt. That was my shirt. And I wore it every night. And I threw it in the crowd every night, and we sold it at the merch stand. So we did that. So yeah, we just don't use the name Role Model Clothing Company anymore. So.
I see. Right. Because you can't.
Because that dumb company that somehow thinks we're a threat. I don't understand.
Yeah, so that one guy who posted one video 11 years ago under the name The Indian Jesus, contact me, bro. I will pay you for that URL. Do you know what I would give to just be The Indian Jesus and not The Indian Jesus Official? Come on.
Yeah. Another thing you had back then that I thought was really fun was you had the MTV show Damage Control, which I seem to remember being part of the same block as like Punked and Viva La Bam, if I recall correctly.
Why is he drinking like that? What is he trying to block what he's drinking? Did y'all see that? That was weird. What were we going
block as like Punked and Viva La Bam?
Oh, he's holding the thing. Okay, got it. If I was like, why? All right.
I recall correctly. What was that experience like? I think it was like 2 seasons or something.
Oh man,
it was awful.
Wow. Okay.
So it was. I'm very grateful. I can't believe I had a show on MTV. I loved that aspect of it. I think it was really cool. I think the people I worked with were amazing. I think that I'm just have so much gratitude for that experience. I think financially it was great for me. They paid me really well.
So one other thing I want to point out, we're trying to draw parallels to politics and to relevant political culture. To have anything that is going to have people following you for an extended period of time, anybody can do something that goes viral. Not everyone, but anybody can do something that goes viral. But to sustain that that level of popularity, you can't be an asshole. It's just not going to work. I mean, there's exceptions to that rule, like any rule. But the all this talk about these people are nice and we try to do this and it speaks to why this band is still a band, why they're still together, why they're still successful, why people are bringing their kids to see it, and why their kids are not embarrassed by listening to mom's music. It has a lot to do with how you present yourself to the world. And he seemed, even despite, the issues with his dogs, an issue that I would never have. He's been very professional and open and I don't know if I want to say charismatic, but personable. And so even, a lot of you guys don't even, or maybe some of you guys don't even know who Simple Plan is, couldn't care less about who this guy actually is. But you're still watching because he is a person and he's talking about his own life and he's making that interesting to those who don't know. And that that's just something to carry with you in life, that, we all have shit to say, but if you don't make it interesting and you're not nice about it, then people won't want to listen. Oh yeah. Oma said, I feel bad for the kids who don't know TRL. You don't know what it's like to run home from the bus stop and hope that you got there in time for number 6, because yesterday, your favorite band came in at number 9, and maybe they did just good enough to move up 2 spots, or number 8, obviously. And then you get there and you turn on the TV, and it's like just as the video starts, you have a favorite part of the video or favorite part of the song. And again, like we had CDs, so it's not like before the phonograph, and it's like, oh, if you didn't catch it, then it's gone. No, obviously you could go and download it and all that stuff, but it just wasn't the same. I don't know what this means.
But at the time, I really didn't have time to do it. Like, I was on tour around the world all the time, and I was exhausted, and I had to come back. Sometimes I was on tour, and I had to, like, I remember this one time, I think I was in Southeast Asia or Japan or something, and I had to go back and shoot a show and come back to Asia to keep going on tour. And it was that time in the band's career where everything was just so busy, and like I said, I'd love to rewind and like be smarter and more adult about it, and like maybe drink less, maybe like
cheers,
party less, and focus more. But I appreciated the opportunity on every level, but I was so burnt out. And I look back, I don't even think I want to watch that show, because I just remember just being like, it was like 4 a.m. calls, and then
I think, and again, drawing this back to the work that goes behind being somebody that is respected, it doesn't sound like he's complaining. It sounds like he's just recanting that, like, hey, this is what we had to do, so we did it. So Nick asked, when did you start growing your long hair? I cut my hair before 8th grade graduation, then let it grow. Didn't cut it again until my late 30s when it was getting thin on top, so I shaved it. So it was right before my last haircut. Was right before lockdown. And what I thought would look good, because what I had before was the typical, short. It was a skin fade with the comb over and the cutout. So I had like that line cut out, and it was very short on this side, and it went into a skin fade, and then I just had the top go over, and it was pretty short. And so I thought that was a decent look, and I'd seen other people doing longer hair on top, but still shaving the sides, because when it's growing out, when it gets from like here and starts tickling my ears, that's when it always got annoying, and that's when I was always and the back of my neck too. That's when it would start getting annoying, and I would want to get a haircut. So that's how this all started. Is I got it might be easy enough to find. Let's see if we can find it. I don't really know if I want to show you guys my Facebook, but let's see. All right, here's what we'll do. So what are we gonna do? I'm gonna find it real quick, because I think I can. I'm pretty sure it was my profile picture at some point. Come on, baby. No. All right, well, what we can do is I'll do this. Give me 1 second, because I don't need you guys seeing all my yes. All right, we'll do do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then can I not move this? Boom. That was me with short hair. I had I started with the sideburns, but when I grew it out, I this wasn't this was obviously being grown in, but I had this as a skin fade, and then I would let that, I cut that again, but I left the top going. So what happened was when I was deciding to, when it didn't look good, and I was like, all right, let me just grow my hair out. Then the top of my hair was not long, but like uncut. And then it was skin faded on the side. So for a while, you could take a piece of hair from here and it would be like way up here, but this would only go out to here. And so it was a weird 2 years trying to, figure that out. But yeah, that's the story of my hair. He was hiding the Bloody Mary he is drinking. I'm not drinking the Bloody Mary. It was not a bad look on you, but I like the long hair. Well, thank you. Well, the idea is a glow up. Nick was saying what he cut it in his late 30s. That's the plan here as well. The plan here is eventually get all this working, make this my full-time job, create like the whole thing about why I've never been good at keeping a workout schedule and just a schedule and a routine, including a schedule to eat properly. All of that stuff comes from always having a very unstructured life. Whether it was because I scheduled all my college classes that nothing would be before 1 p.m. and then I cram all of them in and then go right into partying and then sleep in the entire next morning and whatever. Or because I would have a serving job at a restaurant where today I'm working at 11 a.m. and then tomorrow I don't go into 4, but then I don't leave till 1 a.m. and all that stuff. So, same kind of thing as a dog trainer, I make my own schedule. So it's from week to week, it's different. So once I can make YouTube my full-time job, then, I'll have my videos every day, my live stream show, and then the rest of the time is mine. That way I have a schedule, I have a routine, and I can put things in. So then I can start working out. I can start, beefing up a little bit and get, the house fixed up a little bit, the little things here and there, maybe better car. And then cut the hair. It's like, oh my God, you look amazing with short hair. Do you want to go home with me? That's the plan.
And I wasn't that well experienced at being a host.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes I'd go drinking out the night before and I'd have to wake up and talk to these parents. And like there's hidden cameras and shit going on. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to barf and my head hurts.
So for those of you who are a little bit older, Damage Control was a show similar to Punked where you would just prank people.
Yeah.
And he was the host.
I gotta go and do a show tomorrow night somewhere else. So it was a tough experience. I don't think I was very good at it. I think I could have put more effort into it, and I could have focused more. And when I think back of Damage Control, that's what is my biggest takeaway. But like I said, nothing to do with MTV or the people that were there. The producer, who's still a friend of mine, I see him once every few years. I had a great experience there.
Again, more examples of him doing something, working in a professional setting where he has a lot of professional things to say, and he says that despite it was not his favorite thing to do, that he made an experience out of it, and now he's saying I had a great experience. That's how you have to go through life.
And the whole staff, everyone was so nice.
So as I recall, the premise of the show is that parents would say that they're going away for the weekend or whatever, and
party.
You would have hidden cameras on the kids at home to see what they were doing. Is that what it was?
Yeah. So it's basically based on Punked. But yeah, so basically, if you had a friend of yours and you're younger and you're friends with his parents or whatever, or his or her parents, you'd be like, hey, there's a show called Damage Control. We're gonna, we want you guys to leave the house. The parents leave the house and rig up the house with some hidden cameras, which is a challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would you notice if there was hidden cameras in your house? Because, I mean, you see how small they can make them. But there's still, it's not like, I mean, unless you're in the CIA or something, any kind of like retail level hidden camera. I feel like I feel like I wouldn't see it. Like, I don't know the last time I looked at anything in that corner of the house. Like, aside from walking over there to turn the blue light, the blue light that's right behind there, I don't remember looking there at any point. Like, Yeah, just the edge of the, because my place is a loft, so I have this is the living room, kitchen's right behind, and then my bedroom is just upstairs. I don't think I would notice. Numpty says, hell no. Zig says, spying is not cool.
Haram!
Definitely not. Zig said, if my parents did that to me, I would hate them. Well, what are you getting into when they're not around? Gotta be a good boy.
And then while the parents are gone, they make crazy shit happen. So it's not like they're trying to catch the kids, doing drugs or hooking up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. It's more like, we're going to leave for the weekend, and then crazy stuff happens, whatever that may have been. There was just...
Yeah, that is true. But nobody that I care, there's nobody that I care about in my life that is watching that feed. Like, there's some random person in India working for Google that can hear everything I'm saying and doing. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, anything. I mean, this is obviously broadcast to the internet on purpose, but the rest of my life, it is what it is. The idea of privacy was gone before you were even born, my friend. Oba said, my parents went away for the weekend knowing full well we were going to throw a drunken pool party. That's awesome, because I threw 2 parties in my day. One was in high school and one was when I was in college. Same, parents went away for either a week or the weekend, and we went hard. Because I was a latecomer. Because remember, I was straight edge for most of my high school career. So when it got to the point where I was like ready to go off, then between my boy Akin and his crew, we went hard. Now eventually, it led to me being a drug addict, so maybe not the greatest thing. But before that, it was cool because I wasn't a drug addict, so we were just drinking a lot, and you know how it works. Didn't luckily, like, actually, funny story real quick. I remember the first party. There was I don't remember what happened, but somebody fell into the wall and like made a small hole, and I had to convince, that was the only thing. Like, I cleaned everything else up, but I had to convince my parents that I was walking up from the basement up to my bedroom with my laptop, and I tripped and threw the laptop into the wall, and she bought it. So good shit. Nick says, I hope so, but I'm not sure if I would notice monkeys flying out my butt. Oh my, I would hope so. It's
all such a blur, but yeah, it was one of those hidden things. And then the kids would freak out, and then the parents would have to like run in, and while I'm like hidden camera, like, hey, it's okay. It's so-called damage control. And some of the people were like, who the fuck are you? I don't know Simple Plan. I wasn't Ashton Kutcher, and it wasn't like I couldn't say punked. You've been punked, It had
you've been damage controlled.
You've been damage controlled. But it was there was some fun times there. But that was the premise. It was kind of like a punk show, but when kids' parents would go away, and then craziness would ensue.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I got to ask you about, maybe my favorite pop culture moment of that whole era, was you guys were in the Mary-Kate and Ashley movie New York Minute, and for anybody who hasn't seen it, the plot of
Wait. I just said that as like a reflex. Did he just say they were in a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie? And also, what song is that from? Was Mary-Kate and Ashley? I know it's like a 2010 hip hop song, but I could not tell you.
About maybe my favorite pop culture moment of that whole era was you guys were in the Mary-Kate and Ashley movie New York Minute.
What
and for anybody who hasn't seen it,
okay, has anybody seen this? Because he's giving us a yeah, there you go. 6 foot, yeah, Mary-Kate and Ashley. But yeah, have you guys seen this New York Minute? Mary-Kate and Ashley. Should that be on the soundboard? We got a nope. Oh, Ziggs knows it. All right, so let's see.
The plot of the movie is that they skip school so that one of them can give a copy of their demo to Simple Plan.
Hurrah!
And what was amazing about it to me is like, that you guys were you just didn't have a song in the movie. It wasn't a cameo. Like, you were the actual central focus of the plot.
movie. Yeah, it's
How
crazy.
did that happen, and what was that like?
Again, part of that big blur in the first few years, it was we were successful. We were a multi-platinum selling artist, and we had a great record label that was pushing in different departments to get these types of deals.
Did he just spaz out, or was that his computer?
And I think this was probably, I'm not sure, probably one of Kevin Weaver's deals. But yeah, we were like, we'd opened up for Avril Lavigne. We'd done a bunch of big things on the pop market. We were doing Scooby-Doo things. And that opportunity came about with Mary-Kate and Ashley. At that point, I remember we were so because in the beginning, there were certain decisions that we made as a band that we were like, okay, do we want to go that pop? Because we know we're going to get some heat from it, such as opening for Avril Lavigne. That was it because K-Rock was playing our single.
Now do you remember, Nick? I was asking you about K-Rock last night. Was K-Rock syndicated? Like that was a nationwide thing, right? Because I know eventually Howard Stern was on K-Rock, and Howard Stern was syndicated around the country. But did all of you have a K-Rock media station or radio station in like, I don't know, the 90s? Yes, the live action SD were lit. I don't know what that means.
We were on MTV, but it was like we were kind of cool still. But that Mary-Kate and Ashley movie, at that point, we knew like, okay, we've already done Avril, we've done all this stuff. Like, let's just keep pushing. We just want to be in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah. So because I was asking, we were talking about Tyler, who I guess never comes through anymore. He said he likes butt rock, and I'd never heard anybody. First of all, I'd never heard the term butt rock before Finn. But I certainly never would have expected anybody to be like, yeah, my favorite genre of music is butt rock. And for those of you who are not as in the know, butt rock comes from K-Rock, where we're gonna play nothing but rock. And so it was like okay, yeah. So there's definitely, now that I think about it, definitely K-Rock stuff at Warped Tour, yeah. And we were just like trying to show him a bunch of different music, and like he wasn't really into it. But it's like, and if you like it, and especially if he's older, the thing that that I found weird, that he's like 20 years old. It's like, how did you only like Nickelback and 3 Days Grace and like, it's not that they're bad, but if you like that, trust me, there is way better music that sounds like that. That's just if you dig a little deeper. And I just yeah, I mean, I guess that's old enough to have heard it on the radio. Like, if you're not into music like that, and you were hearing stuff on the radio, and you're a normie when it comes to music, then that makes sense. I think 28 is up there, but we're talking like 19, 20 years old. What? Maybe I'm just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe.
And we know that Mary-Kate and Ashley are massive. So we did that. It was super fun. They were really cool. We were on the set for 3 days. We shot like basically a show where it's in the movie, and it was a good time. And that to this day we play shows, and a lot of people say that they discovered our band through New York Minutes. So I think it was a great thing. It was cool, and is it a little cheesy? Absolutely. Is it
fun?
Yeah.
I mean, American Pie is cheesy as hell. It's like, I don't know why people pretend like those teen movies are some sort of
yeah, bro. That's what we've been saying. So this is the guy from A Simple Plan. Perfect was a gem of a track. Hell yeah, agreed.
Like,
let's just say that Mary-Kate and Ashley is a lot more G-rated than American Pie, but still, yeah. I mean, it's all part of it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. But
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was a fun little movie, and it was a great experience.
And Dr. Drew was in the movie as well. Another one of my favorite.
That's right.
I playing himself.
Okay, I think we need to do a Mary-Kate and Ashley New York Minute watch party.
Movie, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I love Dr. Drew. He's amazing.
All right, so if his next question isn't a good one, I am ready for the after party. I want to hear the music that you guys are dropping. I want you guys to hear the music that I made. So if there is not, let me know if you want to definitely hear the last 2 minutes. If there's not something, then let me know. But otherwise, If he's just gonna ask another like goofy question, then whatever. Next is I had to have the Indian Jesus remind me what it was last night. Couldn't recall. Yeah, man. That's right. We still do have to do Casablanca, and we can definitely do Scooby-Doo 2, surely. And if you would like to be a part of that, make sure you hit the link and join the free Discord server. It is free, but it's not going to stay free. For you, if you join, it's going to stay free. But there's this number that I have in my head. And once we have that many members, then I'm cutting it off for the free membership. You're going to have to pay. You're going to have to be a channel member, or I'm going to have a Patreon of sorts, and you're going to have to pay to get access to the members only stuff. Now you can just be a member for free by just clicking a link. All you need is like an email or a phone number. I don't even think you need both. And if you're not familiar with Discord, it's very simple. There's a lot there, but it's very simple for me or anybody else to kind of explain, like, okay, this is what this for, that's what that for, and that's what that for. The other stuff, you can kind of just play around with it, but mostly it's, just a chat room, like all this stuff. It's just, like a regular forum. Then we have the video chat where it's, it's basically like, what you're watching right now. The other stuff, you either don't need to worry about it, or you'll figure it out on your own. All right, so let's see. What are we doing?
Yeah, man, Loveline changed
my
life.
My wife is a massive fan of his. It's funny. We met him once. He was at a country club dinner that we went to at some point in LA at some country.
Okay, I don't care. So lots of parallels. Remember, the point here was to kind of step outside of the wheelhouse of specifically talking about politics, specifically talking about trans stuff, specifically talking about religion, any of those things, and take a conversation that is a different type of conversation and draw it back to the things that we already know and we already want to underline. And I think we've seen a lot. And the biggest thing, at least for me, tell me if something else has been bigger for you in this conversation. But when he was talking about that part where when you're a teenager, you have nothing. You can't control what you do. You can't control where you go, but you can control your identity and how how others perceive you. And I like this. I like that. That all of that stuff and how that's directly related to all this trans stuff. When that's not even nowhere near what they were talking about. That was the biggest thing for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know we stepped out of the box a little bit, but I try to keep it fresh for y'all. And Replay Gang, let me know what you thought in the comments below. I know these guys live liked it, but you're not here. You missed the party, so I don't know. So please let me know in the comments what you thought. Thank you so much to all of you for hanging out. Big shout out to, of course, the Vision Plus and Melted Mind Media. Big shout out to our resident sponsor, but not tonight. We had another sponsor. We also had Lars and Rune. Shout out to Lars and Rune. But we had a big sponsor, 1999, Mark Peterson. Thank you so much. Very, very, very much appreciated. And guys, even if you can't give money to support, that is totally fine. The fact that you guys are here, the fact that you guys are part of the conversation, the fact that you're spending your Friday night hanging out with me, that is the real payment. I mean, if I could pay my bills with that, I would never ask for a cent. If I could pay my bills with that, I would never ask for a cent. Unfortunately, it is the case that I am trying to make this my job. So if you can, I really do appreciate it. Like I said, the memberships are open. So if you want to, give me a little bit more stability and knowing where my money is coming from, you could do that. But again, it's all if you decide. There is no requirement. Like we say, the Discord is free. You can get everything. You can be completely part of the community without dropping a dime. And for those of you who do, I just appreciate it so much. So I want to thank you once again so much. You guys have been awesome. And I'm very excited to see you guys in the Discord. Replay Gang, head on over. Come and join us. Once again, guys, this is Morty, and I have been Lutch, your host, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, we are out of here. Peace.